Welcome back to Stream 3 of the Hardrock 100 Endurance Run. We're at the Animas Forks Aid Station. I think that's Paul Terranova making their way through right now. And let me just say, there is no weight room music that hits harder than the Hardrock 100 live stream. If that was in an elevator and I was going up, I would be going up. Skylar's not here anymore to tell me to shut up.
No, keep those jokes going. That's what the fans are here for. Paul Terranova, 49, been in the sport forever, huh? I remember when I was starting out, he was winning everything, and he's still just the top dog here, right?
Still crushing it. I mean, yeah, there's been a nice group of Paul Terranova, Jeff Browning, Jesse Haynes. They were all together out of the previous aid station. Burroughs, that's what it was, 10 miles ago. They were all together, and it looks like it's maybe strung out a little bit now. There was 4,000 feet of climbing and descending in between those two aid stations. See, I think they're still all pretty close together. The way the trackers are showing, we got Paul Terranova. Should be expecting Jeff Browning, Jesse Haynes, Mark Hammond, all next. Talked to Mark Hammond the other day before the race, and he said one of his goals was to just shadow Jeff Browning as long as possible. That's a pretty smart move. He's a Hardrock champ. Jeff knows what he's doing out here.
Yeah, and he's a pacing expert, so that's a good strategy. If we have Jeff Colt still with us, I know Jeff used that same strategy at Run Rabbit Run many years ago. I'm just going to follow Jeff, and that's a fun story that he's got.
I see Jeff. I guess Mael's probably holding the camera. Okay, looks like we got Browning in frame now.
We might be able to score one from these guys too. Okay. Anything new off the list, or just what's on the list? It's on the list. Okay. We're right around the corner here.
This is Jeff Browning's 50th 100 miler.
That is great. He's already won a handful of them this year.
Turns out 3.
3. Wow.
And he's got 2 more left after this. He's got, I forgot the other. Wasatch was one of them, and then I forgot the last one of to complete the Rocky Mountain Slam.
Wow. At age 51, what a crusher. Absolute crusher.
Yeah, putting up a good fight against Father Time. I wonder if Jeff's crew is just further up at the road. We aren't able to follow Jeff any further because we're out of our Starlink range. Oh, there we go. We got had a picture for a sec. Switch back over to some of the beautiful views looking up just over Engineer Pass. Pretty endless mountains. Some people were claiming CGI in the chat. And if I wasn't here right now, I would probably be one of those people too. Because there's no way that's real.
It's real. It is.
So, Scott, what have you been up to today?
What have I been up? I left town to go run out to Crater Lake, about 20 miles south of Silverton. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Stunning run. And that was it. I crewed a friend, bib number 6, Dave Huss, also known as White Shirt Guy from Yakima. Good friend of mine. Yep, he's in the field, and I crewed him at Cunningham.
I got flat diamond poles in my truck. They're not lefties.
that Jeff we're looking at?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
We're looking at Jeff Browning back there. So for those just tuning in, we're at our little screen is the Animas Forks aid station. Then our big screen is just a few miles past that, up towards
Jeff
Engineer.
broken.
Sorry?
So Jeff broke one of his poles heading, well, between here and the start line. Jeff broke one of his poles, and he's getting some replacements from the great Jeff Cole. Jeff.
Hey, Mael, are you there? I think their audio cut out. Let's see, we're looking at oh, I see there is a runner towards the very top of that peak. Let's see, I'm going to refresh my splits real quick.
We might be able to send it to the iPad and see if we can get a little update on kind of the overall standings.
Yeah, let me update. Refresh this. Doesn't look amazing. I think I'll just pop the leaderboards up. Okay, there we go. Got some iPad view. So actually our first update through Engineer is Aurélien Denard-Payaz. 4:18 p.m. through the official Engineer aid station. Behind Aurélien was Benyat and Avery Collins, followed by Dylan Bowman. Coming into the Animas Forks aid station, Javi Dominguez had overtaken Brian Colmo. Both looked great, though. On the ladies' side, it was interesting leaving the Burroughs aid station. Courtney DeWalter and Annalise Rousseau-Segre were together, but then by Animas Forks, Annalise had regained the lead and had roughly 4 minutes on Courtney by the time they both left the aid station. In third place is Annie Hughes. Fourth is Claire Banwarth. In fifth, we have Darcy PQ. And the gap between first and fifth, we were able to see through the Burroughs aid station, and that is about 2 hours and 20 minutes spread between Annalise and Darcy PQ. Looks like we have Jesse Haynes in the aid station right now at Animas Forks. If we have audio at the aid station, we'll get it going when we have the chance. Jesse looks pretty pumped.
Yeah, he looks happy.
I'm going to let my air a little bit.
Wait, balling for you.
Okay.
He looks the least warm
Good job on eating that.
of many of the people that have come
Hi
through.
guys.
Hi.
Awesome.
Jesse trains out of Southern California, I believe, so warm temps probably not too big of a deal right now.
Is there Are those Milkos in this pack? Did I give you another one? I mean, did I pack it?
I think there's one in the blue bin on the bottom.
I'll just take this and rub it on my feet.
You do whatever you want.
Oh. Well,
Go for it. Do whatever you want.
Jim, where's the blue bin on the bottom?
I think it's in the bottom of that.
Here?
Yes.
all right, you're done.
And on the last page, people are, do you want more? Yeah. It's like the double doubles.
Pretty liberal dose of foot lube. Smart. Don't let that bread get dry. I think the metaphor has gotten lost over the course of the day, but you know what I mean. Looking like we're rocking some stance socks.
Oh, that's a good eye you got.
Worked in run specialty for a number of years. We'll get a shoe ID quick. I thought I saw a glimpse of the new Ultra Lone Peak.
I did see that logo. What's in the mystery bag? What are they eating?
Some stringy looking with a fork. Like, I mean, they did have pulled pork at the aid station, or brisket. It was brisket. Maybe they just got a little sandwich baggie of it and brought it up. Just force feed some brisket.
Yeah, nothing like a bag of brisket.
It's kind of like beef jerky, or at some point it becomes beef jerky, maybe.
So it looks like we're getting some shots from our Daniel cam. He is in Uray awaiting Aurelion. So I'm going to keep this shot in the lower corner.
Thank you, Bryce. Looking at the live tracker, Aurelion's tracker hasn't updated in 10 minutes. 10 minutes ago, he was about 5.5 miles outside of Uray. So he's
3 hours to get there?
probably another mile closer, mile and a bit.
13 miles.
That's a beautiful trail. Bear Creek Trail going down.
All right. I'll
That's
trust
definitely
you.
a Uray
Bear
favorite.
Creek is also like,
If I'm not in at Uray,
Yeah, I've heard quite a few stories of cameramen getting dropped on the way down to it. Sounds like it's a pretty fun section to pace from Animus over to Uray. Looking at the profile of the descent, you know, it more or less follows the creek until you get to the final mile or so. Then you hit a whole bunch of somewhat medium length switchbacks before you get back down onto the creek and then actually make your way through the town of Uray. And you more or less actually go straight through the entire town, make your way back out of it. And we have Flota at the Uray aid station. Saw a nice cooler full of it. Not even cooler, it's an inflatable kiddie pool. Oh, it's a flamingo. A donut. It keeps changing. Only the most luxurious refreshments at the Uray aid station. That aid station looks like a party. Like we were saying earlier, it's one of the aid stations that I personally would like tell my crew to get me out of quickly because it looks pretty fun.
Yeah. Everyone hanging at the grass, the pool in the background. Look at it. Is that Ludo?
That's Ludo.
Ludo just hanging.
He's pacing Aurelian later today. Maybe at Uray. He's not wearing shoes. Well, Ludo can do Ludo things. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. Another timeless wonder right there.
Yep.
Oh, I need that thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you.
Where do you want that,
And the
Jess?
little baggie of food that you put in the backpack, it doesn't have licorice in it, does it?
Nope, I took it out.
Okay.
Check it out.
Does it have chips?
Yes, that's
Banana
chips.
chips.
Man, did my ankles
Yeah,
shrink?
it's the elevation. They get spelt.
Okay.
Really?
Ready? Get your cap.
You're doing great,
Get
Jesse.
your hat.
Huh?
I think we just heard
Huh?
Jesse say, "Did my ankles shrink?"
What do you want this note?
That's a first.
In front, right here. Did you guys clean the garbage out of here?
Yes.
I don't need that.
Okay.
This is the cookie.
Chase is going to escort you soon. So
You got your trash, you have your mints, you have your salt and phenos over there. Take your coals. Okay.
Oh,
Those are
chocolate.
Jesse's Cameron's coming in.
Hey.
Go get him.
Jesse Haynes on his way out of the Animus Forks aid station,
But you're here, so he's over handy.
approaching the climb to Engineer Pass.
Here we're you're gonna do Run Rabbit now, and
I might do Run Rabbit.
and we're gonna be partners, so you can win $5,000.
Sorry.
Nice, that was
All
good,
good,
man.
man.
That was good.
It's rubbing raw.
Right, see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Oi, Jesse. I think we've got Mark Hammond coming in next. Mark from the Ultra team.
We got Mark Hammond, first-time hard rocker, three-time podium placer at Western States.
Mark just went in his drop bag. Okay, so you just.
So drop bag for Mark.
I know Mark completed a big ski project this winter in Utah, skiing all the chutes in his area. I think he was the quickest to ski all of those chutes, and I forget how many days it took. A little project called the Shooting Gallery. Go Mark.
I think he might have been the first person to do it in one season.
Is that what it was?
It was either that or, like, by far he did it in the shortest amount of time. But I think it might have been one season. Just it takes a lot of athleticism to make that many pushes in 1 year.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. It looks like we're easily opening up a bigger
Aurelian
lead.
has
He was
been
an hour and 25 from Animus to Engineer.
How you doing, Mark?
That would have put, it
How's
looks like
how's this thing called
that
Hardrock going?
is greater than an hour and 25
Almost,
already.
man.
so he put it on. He's putting in time.
He's putting
Yeah.
in time.
Nice. You having a good time? Yeah.
Mark's rocking the safari hat. Nice.
Yeah. How was it going over Handies? That's a high peak.
Hands was smooth.
Yeah. Nice.
Slow going, but smooth.
Yeah. Great stuff, man.
Yeah, second half. Here we go. About
Yeah,
44.
it is, man. Yeah. And then heading over the pass and down into Uray.
Up top here.
So Mark Hammond is the 11th male on course at the moment.
Yeah. So that was the case, eh?
Want to take any of these, Joe? So are you stationed to the road? Yes. Do you want it cold on ice?
Aurelian from France. Yeah. He had like a 16-minute lead through here.
Just came through number 9. And then who was 10?
Jesse Haynes. Yeah.
And you're 11?
He's still moving, man. You're still you're in a great spot. Yeah. All's good.
Okay.
I'll get your poles, man.
Good, man. Keep it up.
Good luck. Keep it up.
Oh, okay. That's it.
Yeah, back and then out to your left.
Oh, good, great. Jesse's a couple minutes up. Jeff and Paul are a couple minutes up on him.
Looks like we've got eyes on another runner coming up.
I'll get him.
Engineer as well.
Yeah.
We have a pacer.
Nice going, Mark. Enjoy, man.
Is Courtney ahead?
She is, man. Yeah, but she's doing all right. Not too far ahead, though. Great stuff, Mark. Keep real, man.
So for those in the chat watching, we're probably looking 25 minutes or so before our men's leaders going to make their way into Uray. And we'll do a little tracker update on the women's field. Trying to see exactly where the... Okay, so Annalise Rousseau's tracker did just update. Courtney's hasn't yet. It appears the gap is probably pretty similar to at the Animas Forks aid station. They are both still making their way up to the top of Engineer. Once they crest Engineer, it will be a long descent. We're looking about 10 miles, just pure descending, straight down into Uray before just heading right back up out of Uray to another 4,000 or 5,000 foot ascent. That is looking like Javi Dominguez making their way up Engineer as he's approaching the gnarly switchback.
Which way will he go?
Let's see. Way wide. Mega wide. Questionably wide.
Like ultra shoe wide is just as wide as you could get right there.
That was Lone Peak wide right there.
That was Lone Peak wide.
But maybe didn't spike the glycogen stores, kept the heart rate the same. Javi is a 2017 champion of the Tour de Jean, so probably knows a thing or two about energy conservation regarding switchbacks.
Absolutely. Go Javier. From Spain. We've got a strong international field, huh?
We do. It's been really cool to see. Especially with we got, men's and women's leaders both being from France on Bastille Day. So they're doing their country proud right now. And Eagle Eye Brett over here is going to let everyone know that Javi Dominguez is wearing the normal Chirac. The shoe that Kylian Jornet won in last year.
Ah.
Yeah, it's spelled Kjerag, but it's pronounced Chirac. Now you know.
And where can you find those?
I have no idea. I've never seen them
I haven't either.
in person. You just got to buy them online, and when you do, go down a half or even a full size because they run big.
So looks like we have 2 runner cams. We have Josh and Daniel, both in Uray, awaiting the arrival of Aurelion.
Are they both going to be running people into town, or do we have maybe one running in, one running out?
Yeah, that might be the case. They look like they're in pretty different parts of the town right now, so.
Okay. Well,
This
that's a pretty
looks
cool
like
shot.
Uray.
Looks like the trees are moving a little bit. I think Skylar at one point said 17-mile-an-hour wind. I guess, you're at the bottom of the valley right there. Wind's going to come up, shoot straight through it. If it's warm, though, that's going to be nice.
Do we know who we're expecting next through Animus Forks?
Let's see. I can take a look at the tracker and see who might be making their way down. Chris Price and Jose Cruz and Annie Hughes are the 3 trackers that are closest to the Animus Forks aid station. With Chris's just updating a few, like 25 seconds ago, has him at 3/4 of a mile out from Animus Forks. So the elevation of Uray is just under 7,800 feet. We're looking at 7,792 feet, which is the lowest point of the Hardrock 100 course. As of the 2020 census, Uray was population at 898 people. Uray is a mining town at heart. Late 1800s was when they were in full boom there in Uray. So we've got eyes on Brian Colmo making their way up to Engineer Pass. Brian is the finish line director for the Hardrock 100. So Brian has done no resting leading up to this race. He was outside the gym for the last 4 or 5 days, making sure the rock's in the right place, the flags are all getting set up. Everything's going to... Oh, all the Jeeps. They forced him. Rude. The dang hobby drivers.
We're going to need to see some statistics at the end of this of how the wide versus steep crew went.
He saved a couple meters at least.
Yep. Wow, that's tough to go from race setup to I'm racing.
Not only that, once he finishes, he has to start the takedown. And then the storage unit.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, you know
the
that.
operation.
Yeah, you know. You've put on a few races in your day.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie in the chat saying that line that he took was like track spike narrow right there. I agree. Brian probably watches Drive to Survive. Looks like we're back at the Animas Forks aid station. Huh, I was looking to see if there was a full Strava segment from Uray to Kroger's, but I don't see one actually. There's a few that split it up. I'm not about to try and do the math on that though. No chance.
And who do you got? Who's on top of that?
I'll have to kick this one over to aid station Fireball. It's looking about like 12 miles from Uray to the top of Kroger's, and yeah, and we're looking about 5,000 feet.
Looks like we've got our eyes on our next runner making their way up Engineer. Seeing quite a few people, yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 people coming up. I wonder if that's the Browning Haynes Terranova trio.
So, Brett, having been on the course, specifically the Grant Swamp Pass,
Yes.
can you maybe describe like how technical some of these downhills are on the counterclockwise direction?
Yeah, so as we were kind of discussing, I think it was Jeff Browning who described it the best, where the way that the course runs counterclockwise this year, we're running up the ramps and descending down the walls. So that's just the way the elevation profile lays out for this year. We're actually going up the more gradual bits, as steep as this may seem. Most of the descents are actually shorter and steeper. The general consensus is that it's more beneficial to do this the other way, where you can just hike hard on the shorter, steeper stuff and then really roll the longer descents. What makes this course really fun, though, on this way is the descents get a little bit wild. There's much less in terms of like quote unquote free mileage. So, and I got a little taste of that a few days ago running up to the top of Grant Swamp Pass and then just coming back down. The way that they come up is insane, where people will pack like gloves in their drop bags at Telluride because they're going to be scrambling just on all fours to get up it. Depending on the time of day, there's a good amount of snow in that chute right there. Maybe you can kick steps, get a little bit better grip. Other parts of the night, it's just going to be ice and downright treacherous, and you're going to have to go off to the side. And then once you get over the saddle and make your way down to Island Lake, the first, I would say, quarter mile of that descent, it's one of those ones where it's steep enough where once you start, you are committed to continue moving until it levels out, because you don't get to stop. If you try and stop, your feet will keep moving and you will be on your backside, and it's not a soft landing. Very impressive. I could not wrap my head around what that might be like at mile 85 of Hardrock or in the middle of the night. And that's just one of the 12 major climbs that they go through. As the poster in the studio says, wild and tough.
And a quick kudos to you, Brett. You went down that fast.
I survived it. I slid down, and I stayed lucky by staying on my feet. It was
Brett,
great.
I panicked up there. I was on all fours for most of the way down. You were running, so I mean.
Well, I had my L with me. And Mael brings a lot of confidence.
That's true.
He's just a confident person. Mael is the cameraman and the other half of the Jeff Colt Mael duo down at the Animas Fork aid station. So I had the pleasure of running with Mael. So he taught me a thing or two about descending.
So it looks like we have Brian just going out of sight, but that view really does show the amount of elevation that they're gaining in a short period of time.
Yeah, and the wild thing is, like, they're gaining elevation very fast on what might consider like a little bit more mild climb because it's dirt roads, switchbacks. There's plenty of other ones past Uray that just go straight up. That's one thing that I learned talking to a lot of those who are in the race who have mini Hardrock finishes. They said especially this year, you got to be super patient to Uray because once you pass Uray, the climbs and descents are absolutely relentless all the way to the finish. And there's, nothing's given to you after Uray, the way that this course runs.
I mean, a 5,000 plus foot climb, like that's not something you find regularly throughout the country. Like, my only comparison would be the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, and most of the Grand Canyon, you actually get like a very established, nice, well-built trail because they got to be able to handle the mule trains and stuff. A lot of these ones, you're just getting like loose shale and kind of a best of luck to you jump sort of trail approach.
Looks like we may have some action going on in the Mael field cam.
So we're at Animas Fork.
How you doing there, man?
Trying to stay wet, stay cool.
Nice.
That's bib number 195.
Chris Price.
Chris Price.
I'll go get a little real.
Sounds like no stranger to the Hardrock course. Rocking an awesome, I think, Patagonia visor. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
You got the crew over here? Yeah, he's got crew.
This is Chris Price.
Yes, it is.
Friend of Junie and Eric's. I've seen it. I've seen you.
Looks like there's bacon at the aid station.
Sure is.
It's a big piece of bacon. Julian.
That one doesn't look very cooked.
No, it's the after Jeff.
So I
can
asked
tell you
Skylar
that
this
bacon
question.
is cooked as-
Scott, do you prefer to fuel while climbing or descending?
I usually just go by time.
It's just
I have
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I usually don't
Well,
eat
veggies,
solids,
just
so
gonna
it's
go?
liquid or gel, and I can really just get it in anytime.
kind of on that steady IV drip of carbohydrates.
Yeah, that's usually what I'll do, and if the timer alert goes off and I'm in a technical section, I'll just remember, eat it as soon as I'm in a safe position.
Well, I think we have eyes on Annalise, our women's leader of the Hardrock 100. This is Annalise Rousseau Sagaray.
I understand that temptation.
Annalise and Courtney. They're together. I didn't recognize for a second that was Courtney. Courtney has bridged the gap again, and Courtney and Annalise are climbing together up Engineer. Let's see the switchback strategy.
Courtney's getting forced wide.
Courtney's getting forced wide. Courtney's going
Way
wide.
Ultra wide. Maybe Solomon Ultra Glide wide. There she goes.
Annalise took a slightly, not the narrowest route, but kind of right in the middle.
Looks like they were chit-chatting, like some besties, huh?
Yeah, sharing the climb together, sharing some miles. Again, I mean, we're barely, not even to the halfway point of this race. I think we're still friends at this point. Engineer on the tracker shows just mile 49. We're looking 103 miles for this race. 50% of the way into most races, you're not trying to actively break your competition. Because chances are, if they make a move, or if you make a move, they can make that move too. I will say, they both look great. This is super cool. Might have to throw to aid station Fireball. When the last time the top 2 women at the Hardrock 100 were still together at mile 50. So I feel like what we are watching right now is a little bit rare. This race being a smaller field oftentimes spreads out and just stays pretty spread out. Every once in a while we definitely do get some very close competition. I know we just said they weren't racing, but they are both competitors as well.
6 miles.
Yeah,
we're at
6 miles,
11 hours, 15 minutes on the clock.
And then I think there's about 9 till Uray. Yeah. So just 6.
Yeah, everyone watching, definitely take a moment to absorb how special this moment is of just being able to witness Hardrock, live for the first time. This is previously only a race that existed in the Twittersphere. Now it's on the tube.
You guys so much. Ooh, you good? You mind putting that in the back of the
Is it this? Put it on there. Yeah.
Everything else, you're good? Yeah. I can see it.
Nice going, Chris. Have a great day, man.
That's Chris Price leaving the Animas Forks aid station.
Sometimes
And Bryce beat me to it. I was looking for the Chris Price button.
That was like a overdose. I stopped it.
So we have bib 125 in the Animas Forks aid station. Jose Cruz. Okay, one of the 3 that we were expecting to make their way to the aid station. If all goes to plan, we will be seeing 3rd place woman Annie Hughes next. Annie's probably a minute out from the aid station. Annie's tracker updated about a minute and a half ago, and she was a quarter mile out from the aid station.
And then do you want the other battery in the pack?
Until it's well, let's say, do you want to sit down while you eat? Do you want to sit? Yeah. I'll hold this while you eat. Okay. Does he have a chair?
you got watermelons are in there.
Yeah, we have some watermelon.
That big.
I hear some cheering. I heard someone say, "Let's go, Annie." Annie Hughes to the Animas Forks aid station. Arrival imminent. I believe that's what they say on some tracking sites. Imminent.
She's coming in right now. Annie Hughes is coming in right now. She's got her pacer lined up. She is. Third female Animas Forks aid.
If
Mile
I
44.
remember correctly, I think Annie Hughes was going to pick up Devin Yanko to be paced from Animas Forks to
She is.
Uray. There's Devin.
There's the big win in the Silva Here's 50 miler. Was that last weekend?
I think it was just last week. Yep. That race gained Devin entry to the Leadville 100 next month. Devin lives out of Salida, Annie in Leadville, so both in the area-ish. Good pick for a pacer, I would say.
Absolutely.
What do we got?
Is that Arlen?
Arlen?
No.
I think that's Arlen.
That's Arlen.
Oh yeah, this is quite the complicated little
Bryce, is it
situation.
cool if we flip-flop the screens to see Annie's aid station transition, see if we can get a vibe check on what's going on there?
Are we refilling this?
Or he's not able to. His buttons are stuck.
Take off this weight vest.
It's a formatting issue. It's okay, I will just squint. Looks like Annie is consuming a cup of something.
About an hour, 14 seconds. And working with much worse than there.
Arlen went medium wide on the gnarly switchback.
What kind of socks he's got there on, Brett? Can you name those?
Probably features. Looking at the colors, the Features Elite Mini Crew. I have a pair that looks exactly like that, and we might have given those to him at Western States. Yeah, because like my sock knowledge is not that deep.
Just the shoe knowledge.
The shoe knowledge is deep. The sock knowledge is like medium. All right. Back to Annie. Double fist in the beverages right now. Got to get in those fluids. Annie Hughes is no stranger to 100 milers as well as big mountain hundreds. Annie has won the Moab 240 and Cocodona. We have eyes as well on our men's leader. That's Aurelian Payaz. Aurelian is making their way down to Uray. I'm not familiar enough with the descent to know exactly how far out Aurelian is. But to have runner cam means we're in cell service, which means we're probably not too far out from town.
Yeah,
And shout out to Josh Walker for the runner footage we're seeing here now.
This is the Josh cam. Looks like Annie put on a, potentially it's either an ice bandana or just for some sun coverage.
Annie also always using Olga as her crew chief. She's in
Yep.
good hands.
Yeah, I was talking to Devin earlier today, and Devin was saying that Olga is very punctual, has a great schedule for everything, and leaves no stone unturned. And if there's any question regarding Annie's race, you ask Olga. Olga knows the answer immediately as to how they will troubleshoot something, what the plan is, what the times are, so on and so forth. Great to have someone like that in your corner. The less thinking you can do as a runner, the better. Brain consumes a lot of fuel.
How smooth does Aurelion look running downhill right now?
Aurelion does still look quite good.
Looks like Annie's on the move.
So this is Annie Hughes leaving the Animas Forks aid station as our third woman in the race, behind Annalise Rousseau-Segre and Courtney DeWalter, who were approaching the engineer aid station together. So once the split updates, we'll give you an official gap between 1, 2, and 3 on the women's side. And it looks like Aurelian is made into Uray. Does sound a little bit windy. Could also be because he's moving pretty fast, generating our own wind. Body language is giving me no reasons to be nervous about him at all up to this point. Looks fantastic. So we're at about 11 and a half hours on the race clock. And we're looking at mile 58.6 on the Hardrock course map for the Uray aid station. So from a mileage standpoint, we are past the halfway point. From a time standpoint, I think we're very close. I think historically a lot of the best splits have been almost 50-50 from that point.
Let's see, course record was 11:12 into Uray.
We're only 13 minutes off that, 14 minutes off that.
And then a finish of 21:45. So a slight negative split from Francois.
Okay, so a little bit past the halfway point then in terms of time here. Mileage-wise, well past the halfway point. And that just kind of goes to show, too, the difficulty of the second half of the course. I mean, not only just by itself is it difficult, it's also difficult because you now have 58, 59 miles in your legs. That makes anything more difficult.
So I believe we have Skylar in Uray.
Already?
Yeah.
How did he do that?
He teleported, so I'm going to swap over to him now in the small picture, and we'll get his audio going here momentarily.
You get the Enterprise Toyota Camry Supercharged Edition. He took the tangents on the way to Uray.
He did.
Is there anything Skylar can't do?
Switch trackers at Uray? Or do they wear the same one the whole race?
I was under the impression that they wore the same one, but I actually don't know for sure. I haven't heard. I mean, it seems like a long time ago, but really not that long ago. It was like 120, 130 years ago. This was one of the bigger mining towns in Colorado. Over 30 active mines. that's a good fact. One of the bigger mines produced almost 200,000 ounces of gold by 1902. Jeff Colt in the chat says, Scott Traer, I'm your biggest fan. Okay. Aurelian is making their way into the official Uray aid station. We're looking at 11 hours and 31 minutes on the clock. And he is entering the party.
Mm-hmm.
Got the mining horns.
Love it.
Looks
They
like
got the
Ludo
French
is ready.
flag.
Happy Bastille Day. This is incredible. Live video from the Uray aid station. Multiple camera angles.
That looks like a Coca-Cola classic to me.
Not a floater.
I approve that choice. Coca-Cola classic at this point of the race, that's a good choice. Oh, yeah.
Go for the bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll definitely be two pretty split camps with our floatas here. Or tiny bottles of bubbly water.
The French.
Who knows? Maybe it's French ketones. Who knows?
That's sparkling water. A
Yeah,
little pony of sparkling water.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Clean the palate before you get some new food in. That's a typical.
That is
little
nice.
strategy.
That's a good call. You're right. Hey, look, I see Skylar in the background. When Skylar's furiously writing down notes in his journal, we're gonna get some good insight later on. Definitely still at that point in the race where we're not trying to rush through aid stations. For me personally, my biggest fear would be like sitting in it too long after a big descent like this and the legs lock up a little bit. I'm sure Aurelian is much more familiar with how much time he can spend in a chair before the legs start to go a little stale. Top 10 to UTMB last year. No stranger to long climbs and long descents. Looks like we're busting out the rice and the sweet potatoes again. Good starches.
And he's got that long uphill ahead of him, so probably a good time to take on some solids.
Yeah, because you're not going to be bouncing a ton going up. Then all the runners get to look forward to the famous Kroger's Canteen aid station. Get themselves a pierogi and a thimble of nice cinnamon flavored beverage.
I've eaten a lot of pierogies lately.
On paper, they're one of the most perfect ultra endurance foods. They've probably got the right ratios of carbs, fat, protein, yumminess. Yeah, so Aurelian, some people were asking in the chat where his aid station time was here versus the Francois Dane's course record. And he's about 15 minutes slower than it, which is absolutely flying.
Yeah, Francois was 11:17 out of Uray.
Okay. And we're at 11:35 on the clock right now, just going back and forth between Coke and bubbly water. And we've got Paul Terranova coming up over Engineer Pass, or making their way to the Engineer Aid Station. Ran more of that last pitch than most of the last, 10 or so runners that we saw. Took the tangent pretty wide, feathering that throttle.
Yep.
Efficiency. Aurelian's out of the aid station with pacer Ludovic Pomeray in tow.
That big climb up Camp Bird Road.
Let's see. It looks like we might have Skylar available for a quick check-in here.
See if we get Skylar Hall's audio here momentarily. Skylar, can you hear us? Ooh, you're super quiet. We're going to see if we can boost your audio a little bit. Not sure if you're actually coming through on that microphone that you're holding.
Can you hear me now?
Just barely. It's like potato quality.
All right, give us a second. We'll solve it on our end and get back to you.
Okay. For what it's worth, that sounded all right. While we see if they can get their audio sorted out, I did get a stat update from Aid Station Fireball. To Uray, the closest women's race was Chrissy Mole and Emily Bayer in 2007. They were 4 minutes apart. So if Courtney and Annalise come into Uray together, that will have been the closest of all time. There's also been, in the year 2000, Sue Johnson and Betsy Carlmeyer were 15 minutes apart.
Around to the parking lot south of here.
Oh, I heard some audio there. Diana Finkel and Darcy PQ in 2011 were 19 minutes apart in Uray. And Darcy and Anna Frost in 2015 were 26 minutes apart. So there's been a handful of pretty close races. But as of current, this one might be the closest. And I'm here for that.
Microphone test. See if they can hear you.
Oh, really?
Skylar, can you hear us?
I think they can hear you through your headset.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound pretty good now.
Okay, cool. We'll rock with it like this before we get kicked off the field, because apparently there's a Little League game that's about to start, and it's a good time.
All right, watch out for fly balls. Skylar, how are the vibes over there?
Yeah, vibes are high. The wind really is whipping here. I'm not sure if you're able to tell off of Aurelian's flag, but it is definitely whipping down here, which is also partially why we got to watch out for the fly balls. Whatever heat they had on high, no longer an issue down here. It is definitely cool, but obviously still taking care of the little things, because you do got to climb out. You got about 3 hours more of sunlight before we officially hit full darkness. So let's talk about what Aurelian went through in his 3-minute and 59-second pit stop. You guys nailed it in terms of his food. He was still on the same rice and sweet potato grind. I had a sandwich that had a little bit of meat and cheese in there, which is delightful. Looks quite refreshing. In addition to the water that he was having, He also was getting ice water poured down his back to help, again, try to maintain that core body temperature. And then also had some like Ritz and Lays at the ready to make sure that he had that salt getting into his system as he got ready to head out on that long climb, that 10-mile climb up to Kroger. So I think you guys also saw when he almost went the wrong way out of the aid station, had to double back and head out the correct way with Ludo, his pacer. But crew was very happy with how it went. They broke down camp, and they're already on their way out of here to get to the next spot, which I believe is Telluride for them. And we're going to await our next males coming through here. But that's pretty much how things are shaking out here. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much for that update, Skylar. Always great to get the insider knowledge and the number that we were all waiting for, the 3-minute and 59-second aid station stop. We've got eyes on Jeff Browning right now making their way up Engineer.
Looks like he's got the ice bandana going.
Definitely looks still warm out there, very much in the sun, and running this really well, too.
Yep, Jeff knows how to race. We can expect him to move up in the ranks late.
Throw the men's leaderboard up here momentarily. So for those who are just tuning in, I was going to say we just had Aurelian Paz make their way through Uray, and we're just seeing ninth male, Jeff Browning, making their way up to Engineer. And after Engineer Pass is a roughly 10-mile descent down to Uray, descend about 4,000 feet. It's a quad buster for sure. Jeff knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and both lead men ran 125 from Animus to Engineer, and Aurelian was 118. So we'll see. 118 would put us at just before 6 for Bennett to come in.
Down into Uray?
Down into
okay.
Uray. So yeah, he had an 18-minute lead leaving Engineer.
Oh, Bennett's tracker just hasn't updated in a bit. Temporary moment of panic before hovering over his name and seeing that it had been 38 minutes. Not to worry. Although Avery Collins' tracker did just update, and he is roughly 2.4 miles out of the Uray aid station. Whether he has caught up to Benyata or not, we will soon find out.
And we do have Josh heading back up to catch either Avery or Benat, whoever is in second, and run them into Uray.
Josh is going to log a few miles, huh?
Josh is quite the runner.
You have to be.
I mean, Josh
to get this job.
Track for ASU. I want to say his mile time was around 4 minutes, so he can hang.
Oh, that's not too bad. It's a Sun Devil.
Sure is. It's probably a good day to be a Sun Devil in Colorado right now, with temperatures hovering around 80 degrees in Silverton currently. I'm assuming it's probably a little hotter in Uray, being that it's a little bit lower.
The one thing Skylar did say, though, is that they were now in the shade, and that was helping hugely. All right, we got Josh Cam.
We got next runner coming around the corner right now.
Benat Marmasol. Their tracker just updated.
Thanks for the shout out, Brace.
So at the engineer aid station, on their way exiting engineer, the gap between Aurelian and Benat was 21 minutes. And Aurelian left Uray at 5:36. So for that gap to be the same, that means Benat would need to leave Uray at 5:57.
It would get him into Uray at 6:02. So if he comes in at 6:02, they took about the same time to get down to Uray. Because he's still about 2 miles from the aid station.
Got a question, and this might go to aid station Fireball, but do we know historically how Aurelion's time stacks up as far as getting into Uray?
It was about 15 minutes off of the fastest split by Francois Dane a couple years ago, which there's just not too many people within that 30-minute range. So being 15 minutes, which appears to be an amount off, is actually still extremely fast. Especially since as we entered, I guess what we've been calling like the Killian age of Hardrock, starting around I think 2015.
Yeah, leaving Uray, he was 19 minutes behind Francois' time.
Looks like Josh may have gone out of service momentarily, but I'll be keeping an eye out for his feed coming back to us.
Looks like we've got eyes on the Uray aid station. Those two gentlemen on the left are Dave and Kevin, the two founders of Speedland. Fun fact for you.
See, looks like we got Jamil's feed popping up here, so let me throw him in. Jamil, can you hear us?
Hey.
Jamil.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What are you up
like
to?
You're working.
Awesome. I'm climbing up in reverse from Uray on the course of the Bear Creek Trail. I'm in the Shaley section. Sounds like dinner plates as you run down it. But word is we're looking for Dylan Bowman next, I believe. So,
have you
I was
passed?
trying to catch Bernard. Oh, here he is.
Did you see Avery Collins?
Yeah, Dylan! Oh, let's go!
Dylan Bowman. Nice job, Dylan.
Jamil, you didn't by chance see Avery Collins when you were on your way up? Our tracker would have him in between Debo and Benat.
Yeah, he was earlier. Are you guys getting this?
It's the picture's frozen, but we can hear your audio.
Okay, well, we just had Dylan Bowman go by. We had Avery Collins earlier. Dylan's in fourth right now.
Okay. How did they look?
They all look good. I mean, it's a nice downhill. Everyone's cruising.
Okay. Yeah, that was a pretty awesome shot there, looking down the valley.
My picture back yet?
Yep. Frame rate's a little low,
Yeah,
but
sorry that cut out on me. It was looking pretty good.
Are you still on the shale? That's a pretty
My frame
cool
rate looks good on my
pretty
end,
cool
but yeah, I'm not
section.
sure. Yeah, this is the shale. So I've been climbing up, trying to find some service up here above Uray. You can see Uray kind of in that valley below. But yeah, this part, it is. My video cut out again. It's quite shaly.
Let's see, we're going to bounce back over to the top of Engineer real quick to see Jesse Haynes make their way up. Another one of that recent wave that looks really good climbing this section. There must be something to the whole gaining race experience, pacing, etc., so on and so forth. Wisdom.
Yeah, the older lads are doing a good job.
And this is one of those courses that rewards experience.
It's just a long day. You have to remember that a lot of these elite athletes in a typical 100 are running much quicker. So for them to then stay out on course 6, 8 extra hours, it's a big change for some athletes that haven't done it.
100 miles does not equal 100 miles.
It does not.
Got to be thinking about the time on feet. We're nearing 12 hours on the race clock. The hands have just about made a full circle. We'll see if there's a moment to bring the Jam Jam cam back.
I'll see you in a little bit.
Oh, we've got Jam Jam audio. Jamil, you still climbing?
Hey, we're back. We're climbing. I had to reset my phone. Hopefully get a little better service. Yeah. Still going up.
How far up are you going to go? You just going to take this back to Silverton?
I might. I just might.
Well, let us know who you pass along the way.
Yeah, who would be next after Debo?
Let's take a look on the tracker.
Is that going to be Javier?
Might be Javi Dominguez. Javi Dominguez, Brian Colmo,
Javi and Brian Colmo, maybe?
But Courtney DeWalter and Annalise Rousseau-Segre are, I think, bridging the gap between Brian and Javier.
Jamil, and how's that section feeling for
weather? Are you guys
weather?
getting visuals now from me?
It's still a little choppy, but
you know,
the stills are really
there's a nice breeze right now. There's a nice breeze out here, so it's actually feeling really, really good.
So it sounded like maybe the worst of the heat is finally behind us at this point, as we are approaching 6 p.m. Still got a couple more hours of daylight, fortunately. Oh, we've got Banat in the Yuray aid station. Jamil, you're down in the little corner of the screen. We've got Uray taking the big square.
Right on.
Banat's maintaining a very similar gap to as from Engineer. Still right in that 20-minute range. Looks like we've got plates of food, 3 different bottles, ton of gels on the table. Someone's ready for battle. Oh, there is a bill back there. I thought that was his hair. I just thought it was like a little skull cap. It's just a backwards hat. So for those just tuning in, we're looking at the second male overall at the Uray aid station, which is about mile 59, just before mile 59 on the Hardrock 100 course. We are going counterclockwise this year. As they leave Uray, they have a 5,000 foot climb ahead of them. The next aid station that they get after Uray is Governor Basin, and then Kroger's Canteen.
There he goes. So the gap was 21 minutes. Now it looks like it'll be 22. So it's 21 leaving Engineer. The gap is now 22 leaving Uray.
Holding pretty steady. So the next runners we should be expecting into Uray are Avery Collins, Dylan Bowman, Javi Dominguez. Yeah, there's potentially going to be a little trail party with Javi, Brian Colmo, Annalise Rousseau-Segre, and Courtney DeWalter. Their trackers at the moment are all showing them like pretty on top of each other. You know, it looks like roughly a, 8-minute spread between them, but that's pretty close for 12 hours into a race. And then behind that group of 4 would be Arlen Glick. So we're going to be here at the Uray aid station for a bit, watching people come in and getting ready to battle the second half of this course.
And that's looking good. This is a little flat section leaving town before you really turn up the grade on the climb.
And Bernat hails from the Pyrenees, which are some of the pointiest mountains in France. You know, the Alps over there are big, long. The Pyrenees are very pointy, very tall. So I'm sure some of his training grounds are translating well to some of the spots on this course. All right, we got eyes on Mark Hammond, our safari-hatted Hardrock rookie.
He's stopping for a chat.
Posing, saying hey. I'd expect a crikey out of him. Go right. Okay, he's just taking it wide. Looks like Mark is adventuring with the Ultra Mont Blanc, the laced version, not the boa.
Can we find out what he was asking? Does this camera have an audio?
This one does not, but I'm sending a message to see if I can get a little insider scoop. And
Right
speaking of insider scoops, it looks like we have Skylar and Uray, so I'm going to switch it over to him now and see if we can get some audio.
Sweet.
All right, you guys got me?
Hey, Skylar.
Brett, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear. What's going on over there?
All right, so you saw Vignette come through, 3 minute, 20-second stop, crushed multiple bottles of cola, as well as a few of these gel packs, and something that was, I actually had to Google it. So according to Google Translate, it was an almond organic energy cream that he was mixing water into. It's essentially that porridge that has vitamin C and antioxidants. So that's what he was getting into, in addition to refilling all the bottles and then running out of here pacerless as he makes the 8-mile journey to the next aid station. So the crew was very happy with how it went. They were very calm and collected, packed things up, felt good, and have already headed out of the aid station. So we will await Avery coming in here momentarily. It sounds like he was flying as he was coming across the tunnel and down into town. So any moment now, we'll bring it to you guys.
Thank you for that update. Thank you, Skylar. Almond antioxidant cream. Not too familiar with eating cream, but sometimes Google Translate's not perfect. Always cool to see what everyone's doing, because race nutrition, especially in a race this long, very individual, going to be very different. What would be super fascinating is if every single person had to eat all the same things. Like everyone could only fuel off like hot dogs. That would be an interesting format of a race.
That would.
Like maybe there would be like, you know, like a bucket of tickets that you would dip into, and it's like, ooh, Scott, you get to fuel with bologna for this race.
It's like a mystery drop bag that our Viper occasionally does. Find some drop bags, and if you want to partake, you just reach your hand in and you get what you get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, these athletes have been faced with a lot of nutrition challenges. As some of you know, it was very hot, which adds issues with nutrition and at altitude. So the double whammy, as Brett would say, altitude and heat just wreaking havoc. So we'll see how they continue with the almond creams. Maybe it's the secret.
And I can't take full credit for the double whammy. That was actually that was from Mael earlier. He was the one who noted from the Animas Forks aid station the double wham of the altitude and the heat that people were really experiencing there. And I think one of the whammies is starting to fade a little bit. The heat, the altitude part, that's not going away. That's never going away here. I don't foresee the mountains sinking anytime soon.
But yeah, then they'll go from very hot to very cold, right? It's a challenge on the body as well. When night comes in and these athletes are up 12, 13,000 feet, it's going to be cold.
Yeah, definitely. And while the evenings here in Silverton have been somewhat comfortable, in the low 50s, we're at, 9,700 feet. We're not at 13,000 feet at the top of a ridge line or going over a saddle. Probably windy. It's crisp. It's clear out. That's going to be chilly. So we're getting to that point where might be time to start looking at throwing some extra layers in the packs. Looks like we've got fellow hard rocker Dominic Grossman with his 2 daughters hanging out in Uray.
He's got a strong mustache.
One of the best, period, runners or not,
Yep, that's good.
Dom recently did the Cocodona 250. We've got Avery Collins coming in. We are sideways, but that's what necks are for. Just tilt that a little bit over.
Let's see what I can do with this. Seems like we're having some technical difficulties on the course cam right now.
Well, sideways Avery is better than no Avery, and this version of Avery is looking really good coming into Uray.
Yeah, we'll see. He was 31 minutes back off the lead at Engineer, and we'll see. Is he coming in now?
Yep.
Looks like he's still 31 minutes back.
Thank you, Bryce. You're helping out our necks.
That's what I'm here for.
So Avery's going straight to his crew. I believe that's Sabrina Stanley.
Yeah. Coca-Cola.
No stranger to the Hardrock course,
No.
Sabrina.
Couple wins.
A little to-go tube of squirrel's nut butter.
Those might have been some Beats by Dre. Did you see the size of those? Those look like those could have been headphones Beats.
Yeah, let me see a headlamp with like a Beats ad on. Actually, that would be the last thing I would want, is to not be able to hear anything at night up in the mountains. I would be beyond paranoid.
With all the Coca-Cola being drank out on course, have you ever been to a race where they use Pepsi? Have you ever seen Pepsi at a race?
I'm trying to think. So, hot take. I don't drink that much soda during races. Like if it's really the last carbonated beverage I've had in probably my last 2 or 3 long races have been Red Bull.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't had much soda recently, actually.
Yeah, I usually have my crew have it, and I may just take sips like this in the last half of the race.
But you're right, though. Don't see Pepsi too much. I mean, they're missing an opportunity. They should be sponsoring some races.
They got to catch up.
Yeah.
They're losing the war.
They have for quite some time.
They are.
I mean, if anything, it's going to be Flota, the one that swoops in. Takes some market share from Coke.
Needing to fill that. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Alright, let's go.
So we're looking at Avery Collins,
Good job,
who's in
Jeff.
third place at the Uray aid station.
Okay. Where do I go?
Out this way. Yeah, let's go, fellas.
Brett, any idea what might be in the sleeves? There's a lot of stuff in
I
those
know.
sleeves.
Might still be ice.
Yeah, it just looks pretty bulky, and they said it was cooler, but he might be running out.
I don't know what it could be other than ice. I can't imagine it would be
All right,
padded.
camera.
You know, the next 10 miles of this course aren't that dangerous where you need elbow pads. We're not playing basketball.
Looks like he's got a pacer.
Gear check. It's looking like denim-looking shorts, or maybe that's just the color. Right now they're looking like denim.
I think it's denim.
I'm hoping they're denim.
Yeah, they're jorts. I think we're gonna follow Avery out for a little while, and then we'll pop back over to Skylar for another check-in.
Right on. And as Avery exits Uray, Dylan Bowman's entry into Uray is imminent. Yeah, there's a party on the descent down to Uray right now, because now making their way, just starting the descent off of Engineer, is Paul Terranova, Jeff Browning, Jesse Haynes, and Jesse Haynes is right around the top. Mark Hammond is still climbing. This is gonna be fun, folks.
Yeah, Avery was 36 minutes back off the lead, leaving out of Uray.
And we're switching over to Skylar. We'll get his audio piped in here momentarily.
Okay. You guys got me?
I hear you.
We got you.
All right, cool. So let's break down that Avery pit stop. 3 minutes and 3 seconds in and out. I think the thing that you missed on the live stream was he basically went to the jug of water at the main aid station, and much like your garden hose when you were running through your local neighborhood, just fully faced it. Just like hit the button, went under it, and just like let it pour over him for his first run of water, which is, you know, pro move, I suppose. Once he got over here, gargled some Coke, asked for ginger ale, threw the ice in the sleeves, specifically did not want it down his back, and then made sure that he got the eye drops in and the sunglasses, knowing that this is going to be a pretty rough sunset on the exposed road and ultimately up to Kroger's. But here's the thing. You saw him, picked up a pacer, you chased him out of the aid station. The crew specifically looked at the pacer and said, "You know where everyone in front of you is at, right?" And he said, "Yes." Hunting season is upon us. So Avery is ready. He's got, about 12 minutes to the knot, but This is a 3,000-foot climb over the next 8 miles, and if you have the legs, you can definitely make some moves because this is one of those nice ramps to run up before we hit the wall going down into Telluride. So we'll await Debo coming in any moment now. Until then, go back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you for that update, Skylar. That was awesome. Scott, we got a few things to unpack there.
Hot.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Based off the first 2 runners that came through, I wouldn't have thought it was that hot out, but drinking from the fire hose to cool off and then ice in the arm sleeves, definitely all signs that he was feeling a little warm.
Yeah, if you're feeling warm and then you go to turn uphill on an exposed section, that's tough. It's tough. It's tough if you're thinking I'm going to try to make up some time. I don't know if you want to be burning more matches if your thermal stress is already that high.
Yeah, especially when you lose all the wind on the way up and then you just start getting drenched in sweat. It's just uncomfortable. I think we've got eyes on Debo coming in. The other thing that Skylar had said that just was fascinating, gargled some Coke and then drank the ginger ale. I don't know the science behind that. So, I don't know. Food for thought. We're following Debo in to the Uray aid station. I was a little nervous for Debo leaving the Animas Forks aid station. He appeared to be in a little bit of a rough patch. And in some of those cases, the gaps to those in front of you can get bigger. This was not the case with Debo. It might have opened up. Avery might have put another minute or 2 on Debo, but Dylan's holding strong. He's running in, poles in hand. Debo's stride always looks pretty good. He's always been one of those springier runners. We'll see kind of what his body language is like as he gets into the actual aid station, but we're probably in the approach mile or last half mile before the aid station. And again, this is, Dylan's the first one now through into Uray who has done this before. Like, yes, Avery is living in Silverton, is trained on every inch of the course, but hasn't gotten to experience Uray as mile 58 of the Hardrock 100. Dylan has, and that kind of experience you only get from doing the race.
Yeah, he definitely knows what's ahead of him, and we can count on him closing strong.
One thing that he did at the Animas Forks aid station that I thought was a pretty veteran move is he vocalized I'm not feeling that good. You don't need to suppress that. I don't feel that good. I'm going to troubleshoot. I've been problem solving. One thing that he did was he got out of the aid station pretty quick. He was like, I can't just sit here. That's not going to help solve any of my problems. So he got what he needed, and he was still able to force himself to just get up and start moving. And, that's a veteran move right there.
It is, and that 2021 race, he definitely had the puke and rally going, so he's worked himself through some low points on this course before.
And much appreciation to the Josh Cam running Debo in, running all these athletes in, running right back out. Running in again. We're going to be logging some miles tonight in Uray.
Josh, what's the pace of these runners coming in?
We can hear him. I'm not sure if he can hear us.
Yes, we're running at about 8-minute pace right now, just under. It is a downhill coming in the last half mile though. But most of the runners have been 8:30 or so.
That's a healthy clip.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention, everyone's seen the course that they've gone through to this point. Yeah, we're on the low point of the course, but it's still almost 8,000 feet. That's still some pretty thin air. So if anything, I would say Debo is rallying really well. Or maybe he'll say, don't call it a comeback. Maybe he was never gone in the first place. remember years ago when Debo was training in the Mill Valley, every once in a while he would post a monster run on Strava and say he got into that shred monk mentality. I always liked that when he was deep into training blocks. He just would call it, I am becoming the shred monk. And I feel like Debo is starting to regain that shred monk mentality. When we had him on for the pre-race interview a couple days ago, he said there was a lot of unknowns going into this race because he hasn't done a ton of racing. He hasn't had multiple big training blocks stacked on top of each other. So it was like, I feel good. I think I'm ready. But I haven't really done anything to really prove to myself that I'm going to be able to do something great. I just have to go out there and find out. And I think, Debo's doing that right now, and I bet a lot of it's coming back to him.
There's Annie. Oh, and here comes Annie Hughes.
So we got Annie Hughes being paced by Devin Yanko, making their way over Engineer. Looks like a little more trail carving out on the wide berm.
Yeah,
it's
we're gonna
almost
have to do some trail maintenance there next year, huh?
Yeah,
put a lot of use on that one section.
Yeah, especially the way that it's getting carved out right now.
Yep. Okay, here comes Dylan into the aid station.
So it looks like we got Ryan Thrower instructing Debo on exactly where his crew is. There's his wife, Harmony. A man of the people, Dylan Bowman. I will say right now, he looks much better now than he did at the Animas Forks aid station. For those who've been with us the last few hours, you would probably agree as well.
Yeah, he was 16 minutes behind Avery leaving the Engineer, and he comes in 16 minutes still behind Avery.
And Avery was rolling down from Engineers, so that means Debo was too. See, who else do we have with his crew? I think I see Kim Gaylord there.
Is that Finn? White shoes?
Oh yeah, that's a Finn sighting. There he is. Finn, get out of the way. We can't see. This is definitely the biggest crowd we've seen around anyone coming into Uray at the moment.
I mean, it's equally distributed.
All right, we got a front row video, as we should. This is the official Hardrock live stream. I feel like we should have a little bit of preferential treatment to get the best images to everyone watching at home.
Looks like he's got a cool towel on and a sparkling water.
Flavorless LaCroix. That's what I've had in my fridge last little bit. Flipping over real quick to someone cresting Engineer. Back to Debo. Eating a banana. Potassium. Good stuff. Fruit sugar.
Yep.
Checks a lot of boxes.
And the potato chips for a little crunch. You know, one bite banana, one bite potato chip. You got a good mix going there.
Yep. during a race this long, a lot of food combinations that maybe ordinarily don't work, they totally play.
Let us know in the comments. Let us know your favorite weird food combos that you use racing.
I think the special sandwich at the Animas aid station was peanut butter, banana, and bacon. I believe that's what it was. And I could totally see that working. Could you do peanut butter, banana, and potato chips?
You could do that.
Okay, I will say, okay, Debo does look a little bit tired.
Yeah,
you know,
taking his time.
He's taking his time. You know, we're not rushing through this one. You know, I think part of, you know, our responsibility as commentators is probably to call things as they are. You know, Debo's a friend, but I'm not going to glamorize how he's doing right now. He looks like he's having a little moment. That's okay. A race like this is going to strip you down to your core.
And we know the magic of ultra running. It does not always get worse.
That's very true. One thing, it's hard to remember that, though, when you're in this spot mentally. A lot of the times when you get into a pretty dark place like this, you start to zoom out and think about the whole thing and the entirety. The more you do that, the higher the chances of that spiral into like, oh my gosh, I still have 45 more miles. If you can think, though, let me just get out of Uray. Let me just start the climb. You know, let me get to Governor Basin.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's trainable, right? I'm sure he's working on that.
100%. Yeah.
When you get into low points, actually having a plan, a method that you work through in your head to get you out of that. I know it's something a lot of athletes will use, myself included, and it's almost like, you know, in any other sport, when you approach a golf ball or you're going to take a swing, you have these mental thoughts that help, and I think a lot of athletes work on that stuff, picturize themselves in low points during training, and how am I going to work through this? I'm confident he's going to get through this.
100%. Yeah. Me saying Debo's in a low point, that doesn't mean he's close to stopping or anything like that. I know he's way far away from that. He's such an experienced veteran. It would take way more than where he's at right now to be even thinking about calling it a day. I mean, we saw him just quickly change his shirt, swap out the headband, crack a Red Bull.
He's going to get those wings.
Yeah, he's going to leave. He's going to leave the aid station, whether he wants to or not.
Looks like he's got a pacer waiting. Is that Topher?
Yep. Topher, pacer extraordinaire.
Just paced Katie.
Yep, and she blew him up, which is great.
Does the same.
Yep. If you drop Topher as your pacer, that means you're having a great day.
Yeah.
Just keep it on for a while.
Let's put your bag on and walk. It's in the backpack.
He has a very experienced crew. You could see Topher was already like, all right, Dylan, I'm going to help you get your pack on. Once the pack's on, we're going.
You got your jacket in the back.
He's going to be all right. It's been hot. It's been really hot for these last few hours. Once these temps go down, Debo gets to bust out the headlamp, stomach will settle. As soon as he's able to properly get some calories in, he'll be all right. Got a little bit of track hat going on. You know, it's been dusty. The air is thin. Dylan Bowman exiting the Uray aid station. Next stop for him is Governor Basin. Everyone continue to send Debo your good vibes. We'll probably hit it over to Skylar real quick so he can give us some insider scoop on what we just witnessed.
Indeed. So 8 minutes and 15 seconds is a lot to unpack. So I'll try to do it as concise as possible. So as you guys were alluding to in the studio, didn't feel great. I can't repeat exactly what he said in terms of how he was feeling, but it ended with the word terrible. So we'll go with that. He basically said he hasn't been able to get into a groove all day. We talked about it, I believe at Animus Forks, he was saying he'd been troubleshooting all day. That has continued to this point. At some point between engineer and here, he seems to have taken a bit of a digger, a little bit of a hit to his head in the middle of that, which I think alludes to a bit of the slower nature of that aid station stop and really just trying to collect himself. He did make a few clothing decisions, shirt change, new arm sleeves, as you saw. And after he put on those, he actually had a bit of the chills. I couldn't tell if you guys could pick that up on the camera, but he was shivering a little bit, which I think is what led Topher to get him up and at least trying to walk out of the aid station. He took on a good amount of caffeine, both with the Red Bull that you saw him drink there, but also a bit more that he packed into his pack to take on this journey back up to 13,000 feet that he has over the next 10 miles. And Topher was trying to big him up. He said, you haven't gotten your groove, you haven't been in a groove all day, but you haven't gotten into it yet. There's still time. And in terms of his absolute speed, he's still moving well and thinks that they have a chance to still get onto the podium. So if he can get out of what feels like a 50-plus mile rough patch, then he still has more than enough time, 11 hours to potentially get out of here and run his way back into a high position. But right now, looking a little bleak from his personal aspect, but with the sun going down and things hopefully settling a little bit more, I think we'll see a Debo resurgence here as they head up to the next aid station. So that's where we see things at right now, and we'll check in with some crews, hopefully bring you guys some tidbits. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Skylar. Yeah, definitely brought us some additional insight that we weren't able to see. Masterclass pacing call by Topher to recognize Dylan sitting there getting chilly and being like, all right, we got to go. We got to get you moving or else it's all downhill. And, that was really smart. Hope Debo can find his rhythm. Even if he doesn't find his rhythm, running as well as he is right now, having never found your groove.
Came through, I had to run back
That's
from the
pretty
bottom
solid.
of the hill to catch you. So, you're definitely still in it for sure.
Yeah, that's what we touched on earlier. When you go from very hot to, okay, you're now in the shade, you can get cold really quick. And again, he's at the low point of the course going up to 13,000. So, yeah, the body doesn't do a great job of thermoregulation when we're this deep in the race with the temperature swings. So it'll be tough for all athletes leaving this aid station.
Yeah, at this point in the race, it's just really hard to work hard enough to generate that kind of heat to warm the body up. So that's why you got to be very particular with your layering, and that's where that big mountain experience really comes in. It seemed like a very good idea. It was smart. Debo swapped out all his layers up top. That's a veteran move right there.
There's Jose Cruz heading out. look out for those 4x4s.
Doesn't look like it's cooling off much up there yet.
No, I think it's, when you're in Uray, it's got those big walls and it's a tight valley there, so the sun goes behind there quicker, whereas what we're looking at here, you're still facing that sun. You can see they're in the shade here. The sun's gone past that back wall.
So we cut back to Debo still exiting the Uray aid station. Well, it's good to see Topher all smiles because you do need someone bringing that positive energy even when you're in a low spot. So the next few runners that we will be seeing coming into Uray are Javi Dominguez, Brian Colmo, and we've got a lot of trackers that haven't updated.
Let's go, Debo.
But we've got Annalise Rousseau, Segre, Courtney DeWalter, Arlen Glick, Jeff Browning, Paul Terranova, Jesse Haynes. Yeah, both Courtney and Annalise's trackers haven't updated in about a half an hour, so they're probably a couple miles down the road. Well, we have a break in the action. We're going to take a quick minute and throw it to an ad break. We'll be back in just a sec.
Soda! Oh, the energy of soda. Not the fizz.
Oh, this is really going to keep going until the podium is done.
I'm very curious to see who the next person to come into the Uray aid station is going to be. Trackers have been slowing down a little bit. Some people have been speeding up. So this is going to be a fun one this next hour.
I'm good for now. I got the Sammy, I got the coffee.
I'm going to throw it back to the Shad cam a little bit. I don't have an identification on the runner that's coming up, but I'm assuming they are in the race.
God forbid it's more hobby joggers out on the course. So another little insider bit from Debo. He was saying that he's been troubleshooting his nutrition the whole race and just has not quite gotten it right. So that's definitely contributing to the low point or the dark place that Debo's in. It's hard to get in a good mindset when you're calorie deficient, essentially.
Yeah, and it could have been that heat. You know, the heat taking blood away from the gut for digestion, and now we have it cooling off. So hopefully that helps him.
Yep. And fortunately, Topher's there with him, really good at managing these sorts of situations. So at least Dylan has a fresh brain next to him to help troubleshoot and think out some of these decisions.
And he took in some caffeine, and that's something I'll do late in a race if I'm feeling low and I need to catch up. Maybe the caffeine gives him a little boost to move, and during that time you can play catch up on your carbs.
Yep, absolutely. It's one of the magic of Red Bull. Like you said, gives you wings.
Gives you wings.
Debo's going to get some wings.
And while we are waiting here, Josh is making his way up the course to catch, most likely, I am thinking, Javier or Brian. It looks like they're in a similar area on the map.
Javi's tracker just updated a minute ago, 2 miles out from Uray. Brian's was 7 minutes ago, 3 miles out from Uray, so they could be pretty close. The question is, like, Annalise and Courtney, theirs trackers are 35 minutes old and 6 miles out. So they could also be between 2 and 3 miles out from Uray. What I'm really hoping to see is a party of like 4 or 5 people all hauling ass into Uray, and that would be sweet. Let's see some aid station chaos.
spoke too soon. I thought we had a good shot. It just went out.
Up at engineer?
No, on the Josh cam.
Mm.
I think he's still making his way up course. I want to see if I can figure out who these runners are making their way up engineer right now.
And on the women's side, Diana's course record was 13:03 into Uray. So that is 16 minutes from now.
Oh, Annalise Rousseau Segure's tracker just updated 45 seconds ago. She's 2.6 miles out of Uray. Potentially with Brian Colmo. The trend that we've seen today is Annalise has been pulling away from Courtney on the descents, and then on anything flatter or up, Courtney has been bridging the gap. We'll see if Courtney's tracker updates for us, but it appears that trend might be in a similar spot for this descent. That's going to be interesting as we progress through this course. Race ends on a descent.
Yeah, and maybe that plays into, her mindset. She's knowing she's making up time on the down, but Courtney's right there on those climbs. So it could be putting pressure on her to move a little quicker on those downhills. And it's still really early in the race to be pushing a little harder than you should.
Agreed, yeah. We're looking at a point where there's still 13 hours of racing left. 13 hours of racing on its own is a long race. For those who are tuning in, it's been a while since we've shot a camera to the studio. No need, Bryce. Keep it on the beautiful pictures of the mountains. Those are way better looking than us. I'm Brett Hornig. This is Scott Traer. Did not plan on having Scott Traer in the studio. Fortunately, I ran into him at the coffee shop, though, because that's what's awesome about Silverton. I was like, hey, Scott, you want to come talk about the race with me for a bit? And he was like, sure, why not? Scott's done a fantastic job.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks. Appreciate you.
It's been fun. No one wants to hear me just talk to myself.
I wonder if Jam has hiked his way back to Silverton from now. We haven't seen him. He was going up that climb, and he was going to keep going.
Yeah, watch him be like, yeah, I went from Uray to Silverton in 6 hours. So, and for those who are planning on tuning in for the next handful of hours, the duo of Mael and Jeff, who were at the Animas Forks aid station, they are making their way to Telluride, and they're going to try their best to beat Orlean there, but they can't make any guarantees because he's running pretty fast.
And it looks like Courtney's tracker updated. She's very close on Annalise's heels.
Is there a chance that they are together still?
They look close, but not together. 1 or 2 switchbacks away.
But Annalise's tracker is 2 minutes older than Courtney's. Take her 2 minutes back. They could still be together.
They could.
That would make this aid station really interesting. Like, do they wait for each other Do you just do your thing and go, and maybe the other one will catch up? Is it like we're running together because we just happen to be running together, but if you get dropped, I'm not waiting because I'm cool with that?
Yeah, it's a tough one. If Annalisa is playing better on the downhills, she might want to get out of that aid station quicker because it's a long way up Camp Bird Road. So we'll see.
There's strategy to these races, folks. Tactics. Who would have thought we'd be talking tactics at the Hardrock 100, 13 hours in? So the distance from the Uray to Governor Basin aid stations is 8 miles. And then it's roughly 3.5 more miles to Kroger's. And then you descend 5 miles to Telluride. And Telluride is at mile 74, 75-ish. And that is the next spot where runners will see their crew. So they go almost 20 miles without crew.
Yeah, it's about 3.5 or 4 hours for the leaders, where they go from Uray till seeing their crew in Telluride. So yeah, that's where most are going to be picking up their cold weather gear, their headlamps, waist lamps, and setting in for Hardrock after dark.
And I believe this evening on Hardrock After Dark, I think it's going to be our friends AJW and Chris Warden, who have been notorious for taking over the mics once the sun goes down. I'll be here till 8-ish. Let's see. So we've got Javi Dominguez making their way into Uray. Javi is 5th male right now in the race. Javi is rocking the uncollapsible poles. Pros to that are lighter weight and added strength because they don't have any joints. The cons to that are you have to carry around long sticks for the entire loop.
What's he got, a holster?
I think he's got, like one spot across his shorts and then another across the pack.
Look at that.
Hopefully he doesn't have to squeeze in between like 2 trees anywhere on the course.
Yeah, just on some of that tight single track with brush, I feel like that would be a little annoying.
I don't worry too much about Javi though, just with the ultra endurance background that he has. I'm sure he's thought through all this stuff.
Sure, and this is when he's on a road section, so maybe that's how they're stowed on a section like this.
This is the way I've seen him the whole time.
Oh.
Yeah, like that's the kit.
That's it. Javi was 12 minutes ahead of the lead women leaving engineer, and we'll see how close they are now.
Yep, I hope everybody out there is starting to brew their second or third pots of coffee, because I thought I'd maybe go to sleep tonight, but I'm a little bit too invested at this point. I got to see what Annalise and Courtney are up to, not just here, but all the way through Telluride.
And a big shout out to Zach Miller, once again serving up Zach's Snacks, making coffee and baked goods for people at Cunningham Gulch this morning. He even had a wait staff going around topping off people's cups. Zach did that last year out of his van, and he's doing it again. Good on you, Zach.
Trail culture. So we're looking at a crew coming up over engineer. Not engineer. Engineer's a little bit later. No, I got it right. We need that coffee. Oh, we got pizza coming. That's perhaps better than coffee. I can only survive off of these chili cheese Fritos for so long while not running.
I don't know, Brett. You shouldn't underestimate the chili cheese Fritos.
Oh, they're fantastic. But I feel like they would work better if I was running.
I guess that's true. I think if I was running Hardrock, I might go on a strictly Frito diet.
Fritos have some of the densest stored fuel of any chip out there, which is why you can light them on fire and start fires with them. Oh, cool. Summer's got some scoops. Some queso or bean? Bean dip.
We could light that whole bag on fire right now. Just boof.
It would go for like 5 hours. I've replaced charcoal in my barbecue with Fritos.
I might keep it in my car for an emergency. You need it for food. You need it for fire. That's a good emergency supply. Go Fritos.
So for those who are, I guess there's a couple people just waking up in Australia. Little update. So we are watching runners come into the Uray aid station, which is around mile 58, 59. We saw Orlean Dinan Payaz leading the race, and then Benat Massimo in second. Avery Collins is in third. Dylan Bowman's in fourth. Of those four, Dylan was definitely going through the roughest of patches. We had heard that he hadn't really quite gotten into a rhythm all day. He's had some fueling struggles. Still pressing on, though. I don't think he's anywhere near close to tapping out. The spread between first and fourth coming out of Uray was about 55 minutes, so a little under an hour separating first through fourth. And at the moment, we're watching Javi Dominguez, who is in fifth, approaching the Uray aid station. And then on the women's side, the first two women in the race, Annalise Rousseau-Segre and Courtney DeWalter, were together at just before Engineer. The official timing has Annalise leaving Engineer 2 minutes before Courtney. We are expecting them into the Uray aid station probably anywhere in the next 10 or so minutes. We'll just have to keep an eye out. Annie Hughes is in third and has gone through, I believe, the Engineer aid station. It just hasn't updated on the timing. And then Claire Banwarth was fourth, Kamino Miyazaki fifth. But the front of the women's race has been very fascinating because there has been times where Annalise had a gap on Courtney Next aid station, Courtney's caught right back up. Next aid station, Annalise is gone again. And then we have a camera at the top of engineer, and they're back together again. So a lot of yo-yoing, going back and forth. It's awesome. I can't wait to see what happens as they approach the 5,000-foot climb that comes out of Uray.
Here comes Claire.
Claire.
Female.
And what we're looking at is
the steep switchback.
The steep switchback on the way to Engineer Pass. The Engineer Aid Station is at mile 49. Ooh, taking a short route? That is a steep switchback. We're back to Uray. Javi's coming into the Uray aid station. Javi wasn't planning on having any crew or pacers. He was just going to solo this adventure.
Looks like he's thought differently about that. Someone's helping him out.
Yeah, I think once he said that, he's been around for a little bit. People will reach out like, "Hey, I want to help you," because he's, racing over in Europe primarily, no crew, minimal crew, no pacers, so he's totally used to it. But then they're like, oh, that's actually the craft trail team manager, Abel, also from Spain.
He's looking focused, like he's ready to get back out there and get back after it.
This is actually super helpful to have a Spanish crew helping him out, getting to talk through what's going on. Javi's smiling. He's in good spirits. He looks fresh.
He does.
He does not look like he's been running for 13 hours.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks calm, fresh, ready to go.
Yeah, it's really cool to see someone who is planning to go into the race, okay with being totally self-sufficient, and then people reaching out saying like, "Hey, I want to help you. I'm going to be out there." The crew that's been helping out Javi right here, I believe they are here crewing and helping for Arlen as well. And Javi's on his way out. That was one of the quicker turnarounds we've seen since probably the first and second men come through.
Left. Yep. Yes. Good job, Javi. Way to go.
So Javi is 90 minutes back off the leader.
Yeah, Javi looks good. I mean, just in that aid station transition, he got, he cut 10 minutes into the gap between him and Debo.
Yeah, and he's moving well.
Looks like we might have an update from Skylar. So I'm going to swap it over there just a second here.
All right, I think we got Skylar.
All right, can you guys hear me?
You sound great.
Perfect. So before Javi came in, what you missed were a couple things. One, we've got Smokey the Bear floating around, as well as it's an owl that says, give a hoot, don't pollute. So there's your PSA for the day. Make sure you take care of your public lands. Let's just make it happen. And thanks to all of the folks who've helped us basically get around this course today and for the next couple of days. Well, let's talk about Javi. You guys saw it. Very fast aid station stop, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It was the fastest of all of the gentlemen who've come through thus far. He chopped out 6 minutes of that gap into Debo just with that stop alone. It helps when you come in not planning to have a crew because everything's already prepackaged. So he literally pulled out the Ziploc, dropped all of the snacks into one hand, put it in a pocket, and was basically good to go. He did grab a jacket, grab some cold water, nothing in terms of electrolytes, dropped the sunglasses and kept it moving, as you guys saw, moving very well up the road. So there's definitely an opportunity for him to make some moves up the long climb, up the road, and ultimately up to Kroger's. And here's the thing. The temperature has been pretty constant for the last hour. The wind has died down, but that's been negated by the fact that it's just very much in the shadows in this aid station. So we're going to be looking for folks to potentially be hitting some chills as they come into this section. I heard that Brian Colmo had hopped into the river as he was making his way down from Engineer, trying to cool off. To have that transition into these cold temperatures could be a bit jarring to the system, much like we saw with Debo when he was sitting here for his aid station stop. So we'll keep mindful of that, and we'll crack open a Flota while we throw it back to you guys in the studio and keep us rolling along.
Thank you, Skylar, for that update. Always amazing to have the on-course commentary. Definitely makes this live stream production better. Skylar makes most things better. I think we would all agree with that. Yeah, Javi was all business there. I mean, I think a word that came to mind just as watching him run out was like stoic.
So currently we got Josh heading back up the course, I believe looking for Brian on his way into Uray.
And your guess is as good as mine in regards to who is coming in next. Looking like probably Brian Colmo. Courtney DeWalter is hot on his heels. Annalise Rousseau-Segre is right there as well. We have eyes on what we believe right now is our first female runner, Annalise Rousseau-Segre. Her tracker just updated and she teleported into town. This is our first female, Annalise Rousseau-Segre. This has been the trend for most of the day. Annalise has been descending faster than Courtney. So it's not too surprising to see that there is a bit of a gap right now.
Looks like it's about 2 minutes.
And then in between them, we've got Brian Colmo somewhere as well. And also, as with all day, Annalise looks fantastic. She's been all smiles, wasting no time, like hiking with a purpose or running very efficiently the entire day. Annalise is fairly new to the 100-mile distance. She did the Grand Raid last fall, got second place to Courtney. She has a pretty long FKT, I believe, over in France. That's pretty gnarly, up in that 90 to 100-mile range. But those are kind of the two longer results. So we don't really have much of an idea where Annalise's ceiling is for an event like this. And it looks like one thing we're learning right now is that she's very good at these long races.
Excellent.
Sponsored by Scott. I'm not very well versed on Scott's lineup of shoes. A little hard to find in the US. If I had to take a guess, though, I think it's one of the Kinabalu series, which is it's a mountain somewhere. So we're watching Annalise Rousseau Segre make her way into the Yuray aid station right around mile 59 of the 2023 Hardrock 100-mile endurance run. Looking past this aid station, Annalise is going to start roughly a 10-mile climb that ends at, where's the spot? Lost my map. It's going to end at Kroger's Canteen, about 5,000 feet later. This is going to be a fantastic battle.
That looks like our friend Dylan Harris running in with her, or running behind with a camera.
Yeah, Annalise is rolling.
Good work out there, looking great.
We're definitely still pretty early on in the race, but it really does appear that what we're watching right now, this battle between Annalise and Courtney, shaping up to be something potentially pretty monumental.
Traverse le ravito tout droit.
And again, huge kudos to our Josh Cam. Josh has made quite a few out and backs already. In and out of Uray. Yeah, he's getting miles in.
Invert.
Yeah, I know, because it is uphill the way he has to come out of the aid station and then follow everyone in. So Annalise is coming into the Uray aid station right now.
She was 13 minutes off course record split.
I apologize for the abrupt switch there. We do have first place just rolled into Governor Aid Station, which is what you're seeing on the screen right now.
Here's Oriana and Ludo.
And I'll switch it back and forth here a little bit.
Whatever.
Oh, you're on that line.
I think we lost. Okay, there we go. We got our aid station cam and Uray. So Annalise, a prescribed sit, as I've called it. We've got a bowl of snacks, a cup of fluid.
We got action. We got action on all the cams.
It's pretty incredible that we have the ability to flip back and forth because we have cameras at aid stations, at Hardrock. A race that has previously only been seen in photos and talked about. We get to sit back in our living rooms and enjoy some amazing endurance racing. So leaving the Governor Basin aid station is first male Aurelian Paz. We've got Brian Colmo on the screen coming into Uray. Not far at all behind Annalise. Josh is going to quickly run back out. We're hearing cheers for Courtney.
Brian's looking good.
Brian is looking great.
Looks like he's got a slice of watermelon and he is going.
Looks like we're going for a shirt change. Bryce, do we have any other eyes on anyone else in the Uray aid station at the moment?
And there's Arlen.
We got Arlen in the aid station too.
Drinking that Coca-Cola.
Wow.
It is that party you predicted coming into the aid station. All four of them all here at once.
Aid station chaos.
Yep.
Here we go.
This is Zach serving up coffee for people at Cunningham, now getting ready to pace.
Who's he pacing for? Because he
don't
looks
know.
ready.
He looks ready. Maybe Courtney.
I've also never seen Zach not ready to run. We'll have to see what kind of follow cams we can get out of here. That's one of the tough things with the aid station chaos is it's pretty hard to keep tabs on people. So for those who are tuning in, we've got eyes on Courtney. We had Annalise in as well. Let's take a moment. Let's see what's going on here. So we've got eyes on Courtney DeWalter. She's talking to her husband, Kevin.
Go.
Annalise is on her way out of Uray. 13:22 on the clock. Pretty quick aid station recap. I can only imagine just the scrambling of notes that Skylar is taking right now. I hope that we get a Skylar recap because, whatever it is that we're seeing, he's probably seen more. So it'll be really interesting to get some of the story filled in here. So we've got Annalise Rousseau Segre leaving the Uray aid station as the first female. Courtney DeWalter was in the aid station as well. Courtney came in and sat down probably a minute before Annalise left. Courtney's eating some snacks. Brian Colmo was also in the aid station. Arlen Glick was also in the aid station. Javi Dominguez had recently left the aid station. Courtney's definitely taking her time, making sure she checks all the boxes. I've seen her looking fresher. I've also seen her looking worse.
She's up.
Courtney's up.
Looks like Mike Ambrose pacing her.
Let's go, Barney.
About 2 minutes behind Annalise out of the Uray aid station. We got a race, folks. This is cool. So Annalise and Courtney are on their way up the 5,000-foot climb to Kroger's Canteen.
And
Arlen Glick out of the aid station as well.
And is that Brian?
Are they together? Arlen did have a pacer, Butch.
Okay.
I don't think Butch has a last name because with a strong first name like that,
yeah,
that's good.
That's good.
So Arlen and Butch. Yeah, I don't think that's Brian.
No.
Yeah, Arlen, for what a lot of people call, Flatlander, flatter 100-mile specialist. In the last, year and a half, he's really developed an entire new skill set of starting to turn into a pretty good mountain runner.
Yeah, he had a good performance at Run Rabbit Run, at States. 2 good, 1 great, 1 what he would probably call okay performance at States, and he's in the battle here. He also has as you can see in that photo, has one of the best skin complexions in all of ultra running. Just always glowing. A nice coif in the hair. Go Arlen.
I mean, that's why he has Arlen's darlings.
That is why he has Arlen's darlings. Need one of those shirts. There he is.
We got Skylar.
He's got so many notes, he's frazzled.
I hope you can read your handwriting. We're excited for this.
No. I cannot read my handwriting. Chicken scratch. I got things crossed out. So we'll try to get it as concise as possible because we definitely going to have some folks running past me here and probably right through the shot. So let's talk about the men's side really quickly. Sixth male, Brian Colmo, came in looking for a new short sleeve shirt and a ton of electrolytes. Came in with the watermelon. Needed a good quad rub, so much like we had heard, he had hopped in the river up there, might be trying to come off of overheating and reset as he gets ready to make this 11-mile climb up back to 13,000 feet over Kroger's Canteen. Interesting that he was asked if he wanted to take spikes, especially because of the descent from Kroger's down to Telluride, and knowing this course as he does, he said, no, it's going to be soft enough. Let's just rip it. So Brian ready to run. Now on the women's side, we had both women in the aid station at the same time. Annalise came in a little bit earlier than Courtney did. She spent a solid 5 minutes with her crew, took time to feed her child and like hold hands and then give kisses. So definitely a lot of love from the folks who watched that actually play out in real time. But in terms of her own race, she took a bit of a mash of peas and corn and melon and was eating that down. Some cola, went for the sock change, threw the headlamp on and rolled out. Nothing too extra from what she came into here with. So she's feeling pretty good. Looked a little like, okay, that was a descent, but she definitely looked ready to rock. On the other side of the aid station, we had Courtney DeWalter, who went for the full mashed potato meal, spit up a little bit, looked a little bit sunken in the seat, but you know, she realizes this is only halfway around the course, and so she took a breath, got her pacer, and left just 2.5 minutes behind Annalise. So we'll continue to watch how this plays out over the next 7.6 miles to Governors as they head up the road, and we will keep eyes out for a few more folks running through, probably a couple more men before we get to our third and fourth place women coming in here in a short period of time. But with that, send it back to you guys.
Thank you so much for that, Skylar. Yeah, definitely a lot to unpack there. I mean, that was the most action we've seen probably at an aid station all day, and we had the pleasure of it being this late into the race. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, interesting, Courtney's human. What can we say? Courtney smashed Western States a few weeks ago.
She's moving good. I mean, she's hiking strong up that.
No fault to Courtney at all for spitting up a little bit of mashed potatoes.
We've all been there.
Yep. I'm sure Courtney's getting ready to start, chiseling out some new caverns of that pain cave. This is definitely an opportunity for that. You don't get that many opportunities when you have the, resume that Courtney does to dig deeper than you ever have before. You just don't get so many of those chances. I'm sure Courtney understands that and wants to accept that challenge of the opportunity to dig very, very deep. I think that's one of the reasons that makes Courtney such a special runner. She sees this challenge and is like, yeah, I'm ready to tackle that.
It looks like she's smiling, so maybe a good job on that pacer. Like I said, it looks like Mike. Yep, that's Mike.
I think Mike Ambrose he works at Normal now. Came from Solomon though, so I'm sure that's how they know each other. I forget if it was product development or marketing that Mike Ambrose was in, but he's pretty big in the running shoe industry.
Yeah.
I would not actually want to do running shoe Jeopardy against Mike Ambrose. He's one of the few where you'd out shoe knowledge, man. I have no shame in admitting that.
And quite the runner out of Salt Lake City. Also Air Viper Racing Team member.
Oh, how about that? Cool.
And they're moving. Courtney's smiling. But yeah, with Annalise Hay, I mean, knowing that she's giving kisses, caring for the family, she's got to be feeling good. She is winning one of the biggest races of the world. Can't be feeling too bad if she's all smiles, so this is going to be fun.
Courtney is no stranger to this course. Courtney has done Hardrock in this direction. The last time Courtney did Hardrock in this direction, though, she did have to drop. So she's got a bone to pick with this course. As with Western States, last time she had raced Western States, she also had to drop. So she got 2 redemption races back to back. And, prior to Western States, she said that was a big motivator. And I don't think she even realized the parallels until we brought it up the other day. I was like, these are both races that you had previously dropped. And she's like, oh, you're right. So there's some miles of the course that she actually needs to go see.
Well, everybody, I'm going to say a big thank you to Brett for inviting me on here. It's almost sunset, and I'm going to go sneak in a run so I can come back and watch the fireworks unfold.
Thank you so much, Scott, for joining me here in the booth for the last few hours. You've made this section of the race very entertaining. You're a veteran to the sport, I would say, and have lots of great contributions. Not only are you a great runner, great race director as well, and has one of the funniest Instagram pages. If you do not follow Scott Traer on Instagram, please do. You won't be disappointed. So thank you, Scott, for joining me here in the booth. We will see you again soon.
Thanks. See y'all.
Looks like we might have Skylar here. It looks like he has something to say.
Actually, this is a question for you, Brett. So I heard you say that Courtney's done this race in this direction before. However, I think this is the exact section of the course where she actually dropped and had to come back down to the aid station. So somebody can fact check me on that, but that might also feed into a bit of what we were witnessing coming out of the pain cave, realizing she wasn't having maybe the most spectacular day thus far, but knowing that this is exactly where it all fell apart last time. She lost all of her cookies up the climb on the road. So fact check me on that this would be her first completion in this direction, but that was also a storyline that we should follow in terms of where her mental game is.
Yeah, I do believe, this is a direction she hasn't finished. We will see exactly what that mileage was. I will say, though, while you were talking, I heard everything you said. There was a minor distraction here in the studio. Scott was trying to get behind me. He knocked the bookshelf, and the pyramid of Flota cans is on the ground. So I just thought I'd let you know that, Skylar.
Okay, well, luckily, we are here at the aid station where Flota is going to be provided to the runners. Thus far, we haven't seen many of them have the opportunity to take the kind stewards of Flota up on it yet, but I personally have already had one, and it sounds like it might be time to throw a couple in the car and make sure they come back to the studio. So in your honor, I will have a few more cans of Flota, and we will ensure that everyone is properly caffeinated as we wait for Hardrock After Dark to truly set in here at Uray.
Thank you, Skylar. I did just get word from aid station fireball as well that Courtney had dropped at Camp Bird in 2021.
Wait, where did she drop?
Aid station fireball said Camp Bird.
Camp Bird. We're doing some research.
Yeah, because that's not one of the aid stations. At least not by the official name.
One sec. I think Skylar, we might be having some audio issues. Stand by for a second. Oh, is he out?
Camp Bird Road. The road out of Uray to Kroger's. Okay. Yeah, so that is the spot on the course that Skylar was talking about. Walked back to Uray. Okay, so this is the kind of the turning point for Courtney's race. This is the big part that she has to get by.
Stand by here, Tony, while I work on the audio on our side.
Through here, not as strong
Here
as
we
I've
go.
seen her, not as bad as I've seen her.
Tony, we
seeing
missed
her
that first part.
Come through here. All right, go ahead. What was that?
We missed the first part. We were having some audio issues, so we're connected now and can hear you. Apologies.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just saying that I was filming 2 years ago up on Camp Bird Road. It was part of that Solomon documentary that came out 2 years ago. And so, yeah, I'm feeling really emotional because I was there when she dropped. And she ended up, I pulled up. And her pacer, Paul Terranova, was like, yeah, she needs to ride down. So she jumped in my car. And I took her back here to Kevin. And so I'm just really emotional at this part because just seeing her come through here, looking not as bad as I've seen her, but not as great as I've seen her either. So, yeah, just it's an emotional moment for me.
Wow, I didn't realize you were actually the one to drive her back into town. Can you describe to us where that location was in reference to Uray?
Yeah, it was about halfway up Camp Bird Road. There's a part where the rock is pretty overhanging over the road, and it was just maybe a half mile or so past that. I was not planning on filming at that location, but the sun was setting, and I was like, let me try to get a sunset shot. So I go up there to follow her and just get a zoom shot, and I was sitting in my car with the zoom shot, and she sat down, and I was like, oh no. So yeah, that was an emotional moment for me. And so that's why last year, filming her finishing, I ran into the finish line with her, was also like one of the highlights of my career, being able to follow her after that redemption. So I'm really, really rooting for her right now.
Did not realize you were so intertwined with her Hardrock story, Tony.
Yeah, that's incredible. And
yeah,
thank you for sharing that, insider info with us. That really paints a much fuller picture of kind of the significance of Courtney coming through this aid station this year. And, maybe not being in the best place, but probably being in a much better place than 2 years ago, and knowing like I gotta get past to where I was before. Like, gotta battle those demons. Courtney has them too.
Yeah. She 2 years ago coming out of here, similar time of day, so all the vibes are the same right now. I just remember her losing everything that she had just eaten the aid station, and I don't like filming that, so I was just like so I was watching the live stream just now, just like, please keep it in, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I know she was fine with that, so yeah, I'm right there with her.
Tony,
Right
can you give
on.
us just your quick impressions of what you saw when she came through the aid station?
I only saw her for about 10 seconds. She was all smiles. that's how she goes through aid stations, is all smiles. So it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. I did just talk to Kevin, and he said she's doing good. Just maybe a little dehydrated, but just needing to get rehydrated. Of course, on a hot day like this, it makes sense to be dehydrated. So yeah, just as the temperatures go down and she continues to take in fluids and salts, I have faith that she'll get through.
Awesome.
Yeah, I believe you.
So
looks like we've got eyes on Paul Terranova, 8th male coming into Uray right now.
I think Zach is pacing him.
We got Zach Miller pacing Paul Terranova. That's a good duo right there. Gosh, I wonder what the energy is like to
Not
have Zach
confirmed,
Miller
but
as a
I think
pacer.
that's the truth.
That gives me a little bit of anxiety.
Wait, I missed that. What was that?
Zach Miller as your pacer.
Yeah.
I mean, just the intensity that he brings to racing is awesome. Makes me a little nervous, though.
I mean, obviously when he's racing, he races aggressively. When I had a brief encounter with him, he seemed like a very friendly, laid-back guy. I wonder where pacer Zach lies in the middle of there.
Yeah, we're on that spectrum between racing intensity and chill non-racing Zach. Yeah, where's pacer Zach? Maybe we shall soon find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul is no stranger to these big mountain races. Paul's completed, I mean, these are just some of the ones that he's top 5'd at in the recent few years. We got Bighorn 100 mile, the Bear 100 mile, High Lonesome 100 mile, Cruel Jewel 100 mile. He was in the top 5 on all of those. Oh, Scott's back to knock over some more floated cans. Oh, he left his phone. Never mind.
So I'm going to be hovering over the Governor Aid Station camera. I think we're going to see a Banat sighting here pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah, so the open split tracker has Orlean Payaz having gone through the Governor Aid Station at 7:17 p.m. So that was like almost 30 minutes ago. Which if Banat were to maintain the same gap, he would be needing to come through Governor about right now. Oh, wait, no. That was 10 minutes ago. We'll keep you posted because the open split timing hasn't been exactly current.
Looks like we got a sock change going on. Hey, Brett, if you were going to run a Hardrock, is there a specific pair of shoes you would go with?
At the moment, a shoe that I would feel comfortable in at Hardrock would probably be the Hoka Mafate Speed 4. The amount of cushion and protection is something that I would definitely need. I know I wouldn't be going that fast, so I don't need to be feeling super nimble on a shoe. Another one that a lot of people might not be aware of that's actually a great shoe is the Asics Trabuco Max 2. Fantastic update. But really the best hard rock shoe is the one that you are the most comfortable in. Like, we've seen people win this race in old school road racing flats. Here's Benat coming into Governor Basin.
He's not in the race. Oh, okay.
Did he not stop?
No, he did not.
He didn't stop.
Again.
This is the second aid station that he's blown through. That's just nutty.
Is it 170? Is it him?
Yeah.
Was it Dimitri?
Bernard?
Benat, Mama Soul.
That was Benat coming through, and shout out to Kathy for bringing us these images out from Governor Aid.
He's bib number 173. In case he came through that aid station too quick.
I mean, it's a non-crewable aid station, correct? So there's no chance that his crew's down the road. He's just cruising.
No, there's no crew until Telluride now. That was nuts.
I mean, we heard he was going heavy on food through the aid stations.
That's what we saw, yeah.
You have a water filter on you, you know? I mean, I don't know.
I like this from the chat. He be not dropping. He be not stopping. Excuse me. He should really be taking advantage of these aid stations. He's not getting his money's worth out of the race. He paid for all this food. Oh, good eye drop action there at the Uray aid station.
And again, I just want to shout out all of our volunteer camera people on course. Josh, Daniel, Kathy, thank you all for bringing us these shots. It wouldn't be possible without you guys, so thank you.
Paul appears to be in great spirits. Didn't seem like he took any additional time. You know, he took all the time that he needed and no more. And it does appear that he is leaving Uray with none other than Zach Miller. I'm just assuming that Zach is pacing from Uray all the way to the finish. My expectations now for the final mile for Paul into Silverton are probably under 6 minutes now. Bryce, what do you think? Over under 4 minutes for Paul's last mile now with Zach Miller as pacer.
I don't know. I think it's maybe a 50-50.
Throw that on the prop bet sheet.
I was wondering if Zach's going to be pouring water over his head like he did at Worlds.
Yeah, that created quite the stir in the Twittersphere. I don't know if I'm ready to hash that one out on the chat here. We should probably move on to something better, like how the trio of Paul Terranova, Jeff Browning, and Jesse Haynes, all very close in age. Apparently, we're learning all very close in ability level. That ability level is very good. And we've got eyes on Jeff Browning coming into the Uray aid station just as Paul Terranova is leaving, and I bet he knows that. I love how over the course of long races like this, we get races within races developing. You know, we've got the race for the front. We have this, I mean, I guess we have this Masters race, which is over 40, but I think Paul Terranova is 48, Jeff's 51, Javi Dominguez was 48. This is a course that rewards experience. This is going to be fun to see these next few hours. Thanks to everyone who's watching in the chat. It's all of you people at home watching this race, paying attention to it, are the reason that we do this live stream. We want people to be able to enjoy, pay attention to the sport, follow their favorite runners. We're making this thing legit.
So as Paul and Zach are leaving Uray, Jeff Browning has arrived and looks like he's refueling. We'll see how long he takes a sit for. Something tells me it won't be too long.
Yeah, did he even sit down?
He did.
Oh, yeah. We'll sit. That's fair. Acceptable.
Yeah, let's Thank you. On high step. Yeah. It's
Ketone shot. That's what that was.
Wait, you really think so?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know that bottle.
Ah.
That was a shot of HVMN Ketone IQ.
Good eye, Brett.
I love that. Yeah. It was.
And I'm going to send it back to Paul as we get some of the last footage of them leaving Uray, setting off
Right
on
on.
that 5,000 plus foot climb.
Paul just gave us a little wave of the sticks, letting us know that he's feeling good, and he's going to... Well, the best way to not get caught is to just try and catch the person in front of you. So I bet Paul won't be doing too much of looking back. Did Jeff just down an entire can of Squirrel's Nut Butter?
Oh, the vest is going back on. And then I am going to put the Skylar cam in our small window here. It looks like you may have a check-in.
All right. I need you guys to help me out a little bit in the chat. Annalise Rousseau's tracker updated 4 minutes and 50 seconds ago. Courtney's tracker updated 6 minutes ago, and Courtney's in front of Annalise. That means, does that mean Courtney's in front?
Yes, Skylar,
There's a
we
2 minute
gotcha.
gap, but Courtney's the further one up.
The first two women.
All right, cool. Yeah, so we're here with run director, DG himself, Dale Garland. We're gonna do a quick hitter out here. Now that you've seen the first 9 men come through and the first 2 women, we talked in the studio earlier that you were you had high hopes for how this is all gonna shake out. Where's your mindset at now as the shadows are befalling us here?
As the shadows fall on Uray and Felon Park, I think what I've seen so far is that people have taken care of themselves. They're drinking, they're hydrating. We haven't seen a huge attrition rate or a drop rate or anything like that. So I'm really pleased about that. I'm super excited. Every aid station I go to, the energy, the number of people out here supporting each other, supporting the runners. It's a great weekend.
So you've seen a lot of carnage on the course before, but you've also seen some great rebounds. based on who's come through thus far, are you thinking that this is going to be more of a race of attrition for those who've already come through, or do you think this is going to be sort of a rise from the ashes Phoenix story for those who have not been looking?
I think it's more of the former, because the people that we're talking about are seasoned experts. They're runners. They're professionals at what they do, and so I think it's more that it's going to be a race to see who doesn't make it to the finish, but Uray is such an interesting place historically, because you either have to come down or go up, because this is the lowest point of the course, and so this is a real decision point. It's a crux point for a lot of people, whether or not they want to keep going or not. And at least the people I've seen, they're moving through. There's no doubt that they're heading to Governors and then on to Kroger's and then over to Telluride.
And we know that it's quite a party once you get to Kroger's, and it's definitely a destination spot for folks.
It is, and it's even made better. And I don't think he's going to be up there, but the guy who made it famous, I think, Rock Horton was really kind of the father, other than Chuck Kroger, the guy who created Kroger's Canteen, and all homage to him. But Rock, I saw Rock this morning, but I don't think he's going to make the trip up there. I think he's a spectator this year. But it is one of the iconic places on the Hardrock course is Kroger's Canteen, and we actually have a fixed line. We're a little worried about the snow on one of the pitches. There's three pitches to climb up to Kroger's, and so Brett Sublet, our course director, made a decision that at least the last one, the final pitch, with the snow conditions and things like that, he thought it might be good to put in a fixed rope. So we'll have that there for runners.
Yeah, definitely better to play it safe than sorry. So,
exactly.
So no shame in the game there.
Exactly.
One last question, because I know you want to get off your feet a little bit. The last two runners.
You drug me out of my chair.
I'm sorry. Sorry. The last two runners that came through,
right?
Masters athletes, our fifth male overall Masters athletes.
Yes.
What does it mean to see folks that are 40 plus, 50 plus out here grinding and doing so well?
Right. I think it's so cool to see those 40s, 50s, 60s. We have so many people over 60 that are running. Ultra running is a sport of longevity, and not only just in terms of the distance, but having those people out there. I often joke, it takes that long to lose all the brain cells to run these things. But in actuality, I think it's fun to watch people who have done this for a long period of time and who've grown through the sport and kind of the leaders of our sport as they mature and things like that, to still have that competitive fire, that competitive spirit, and just to see them out here just knocking it out.
It really is a testament to the fact this is a community, no matter what your age, whether you're 25 or 74 or somewhere in between, we're going to try to get you around the loop back to Silverton.
There you go. That's exactly right.
Everybody's going to be meeting you at the Rock.
At the Rock.
So go sit down, relax your legs, rest up a little bit. We'll see you on the finish line cam soon. And we'll see all of you guys streaming online. Stay, because we got a couple more streams. We're going to be taking you through Golden Hour in the Sunday morning. So thank you, sir.
Okay, buddy.
Thank you in the studio. We'll catch you guys soon.
Okay, see ya.
How awesome that race director, Dale Garland, run director, that is the official term. Run director Dale Garland was able to donate a few minutes of his time to give us an update from the Uray aid station. And he's absolutely right. This is the crux of the course. While Skylar and Dale were chatting to us, we saw Avery Collins come through the Governor Basin aid station. Just waiting for the open split tracker to come through. Well, I guess I can do that math. It's 8 o'clock. He came in 13 minutes after, or he left 13 minutes after second place left. And second place was Benat Marmousseau. Benat was 30 minutes behind Arlien Denad Paz. So we're looking about 43 minutes between first and third place right now. Fourth place on the course, as far as the trackers go, is still Dylan Bowman. It does look like the gap between Dylan and Javi Dominguez might be shrinking a little bit. Hopefully Dylan can find a second wave, he's probably on like 10th or 11th wave at this point, but find that wave, hop onto Javi, hitch a ride, make their way up to Kroger's. I bet if Dylan can get to Kroger's, he'll have a whole nother wave of confidence. This climb is really tough.
A 5,000 plus foot climb in the middle of the course, and
the last part is really steep.
Right.
I mean, as Dale said, well, there was a bit of snow, so we decided to anchor some ropes. Like, usually you only do that when you have a chance of falling and rolling all the way down.
I mean, I've seen videos of Hardrock. I've watched all Jamil's videos of Steep Life, and you see him on the GoPro, but it's different when you're on it. Like, panic sets in almost how steep it is. It's like it doesn't seem realistic that you could actually run down some of these downhills.
Yeah, if you have a fear of heights, I'm not going to say this is not the race for you, but this is a race that would challenge that for sure.
Yep. Looks like we got Josh going out, hopefully to get another runner here. Any estimates on who we'll have coming into Uray next, and or Governor 8 if you think that'll be sooner?
So we're expecting Jesse Haynes and Mark Hammond into Uray next. Dylan Bowman, Javi Dominguez, and then the trail party of Arlen, Brian, Courtney, Annalise, all making their way up to Governor Basin. Coming into Uray as well, coming off the switchbacks before paralleling the river before getting into town, is Chris Price and third female overall on the course, Annie Hughes. We'll have to do a little bit of math as Annie comes out of Uray. I'm not going to say the gap is shrinking yet, but it might not be getting bigger anymore. Just kind of eyeballing the trackers for the last little bit. And that's kind of one thing that we anticipated out of Annie was a pretty steady, level-headed race. Annie's understanding is that this is a pretty long day. She has experience in these big mountain races. She knows, 13 hours in is not that far into a race like this. There's still a lot of room. If the gap is only 1 hour to first,
right.
I mean, at any given point on this course, the next mile could take an hour.
That's a great point. And I mean, the folks that we've seen come through Uray so far, I wouldn't say they've looked great for the most part.
Of all the aid stations so far today, like Uray is we've seen more carnage at Uray than any of the other ones. Maybe Animus Forks, because that was kind of during the peak heat of the day. But yeah, kind of like we were saying, like 30 minutes separating the podium or 40 minutes separating the podium. In a race like this, that's nothing.
It's 30 minutes at Hardrock is not 30 minutes at Western,
No, these are big mountains. Hardrock's a mountainous course. Western States is a hilly course. They're both difficult for their own reasons,
right.
But they both require certain skill sets, different race tactics. You can't race them the same.
Yep, well put. And Annie definitely has a slight advantage in that she resides in Leadville, I believe. So when it comes to dealing with altitude, I would assume that would give her a pretty significant leg up.
Annie got to drop down to the race, at least to the start, a couple hundred feet.
Yeah.
One thing that probably was a difficulty out of Leadville, as was, Annie lives in Leadville. Getting up high means more snow. The accessibility to some of the higher terrain probably didn't really, probably wasn't accessible until rather recently. So it would be interesting to talk with Annie after this race to see how much time she's actually gotten to spend up significantly higher than, 10 or 11,000 feet just due to snow where she lives. Looks like we've got Jesse Haynes coming into Uray.
So this footage coming courtesy of our Josh runner cam.
Sure. My favorite part.
Did he just say this is his favorite part?
Well, that would be first, I would say, in terms of comments into Uray. I mean, it clearly is an amazing aid station, but this is a very difficult part of the course. So if we're in that mental headspace where this is a favorite part, that's a good thing.
That is an excellent sign for Jesse. And he's looking smooth, moving efficiently. It looks like it could be the camera angle, but it looks to me like he's running a slight uphill right now pretty effortlessly.
Yeah, I agree. It does look uphill. And it also does look pretty effortlessly. And those shorts kind of look like denim. Might just be the color, though. Okay, so Courtney and Annalise's trackers both updated 9 minutes ago. Oh, Courtney's just updated again. As right before Courtney's update, when they were both at 9 minutes old, Courtney was in front of Annalise Rousseau. So I think unofficially, we might be saying that Courtney DeWalter has taken over the lead of the women's race of the Hardrock 100.
I did not expect it to be that soon after watching them both come through Uray.
No, and Annalise left the aid station feeling good. Annalise's tracker just updated as well. It did not catch up to Courtney's.
No kidding.
Right now, Courtney's a half mile ahead of Annalise. As with what we've been saying all day and what we've been noticing, Annalise has been descending faster. Courtney's been climbing faster. This is a big climb. This is an opportunity for Courtney to put some time on Annalise. With that being said, this is a loop course. There's equal amounts of descent. So it's really going to come down to who's going to be the strongest over the last 50K of this race.
Good job, buddy.
I wonder if Courtney got just a wave of adrenaline passing the spot where she dropped 2 years ago. And was just like, that old race is finally dead. Like, she doesn't have to worry about that anymore. All she now has to do is think about what's immediately ahead of her. I've been blabbing on for a while. While I have, a friend has come and sat down next to me. Chris Warden has made his way back into the studio.
Hey.
Actually, have you been in the studio yet?
Yesterday.
But
during our preview
for the race,
show.
This is your first time on?
Yeah.
Okay. You've been all over the place. I mean, we've seen you in the chat. I know did you just come back from Uray?
Yeah, I was out in Uray today. So if you've never spectated Hardrock in person, the best way to do it is the way I do it, I think. So when you're in the counter-clockwise direction, you can actually hang out here in Silverton and watch the beginning of the race. Then from there, if you're really feeling ambitious, you could head out to Cunningham Gulch, but I personally don't because I don't have any personal runner business out there. Now that we've got the live stream and we can see the great views that we got this morning, there's really no reason for me to head out there. So I actually head from here up to Uray, and I'll grab breakfast there. And my son is traveling with me. He's 16, and he loves the mountains. But what we do is we'll go on a short hike. Maybe we'll do part of the Uray Perimeter Trail or Bear Creek, something along the way. And then we basically set up shop in Uray. We'll have opportunity, number one, to be right at the Uray Aid, but there's also a water park right next to it. So he goes and he hangs out, and I end up just nerding out at Uray Aid right there. Basically, I was standing next to that green tent. Yeah, I do have to peel off to the side.
Turn right.
But yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah, this. I mean, I've never really seen. I mean, I've only seen pictures of the Uray aid station, and there's not really any pictures that run through the aid station. This is probably one of the longer aid stations. Definitely has the most people to this point in terms of fans, crew, etc.
It's a big spectating station. It's easily accessible, and you don't have to go all the way around the mountain.
Yeah, you get to go just straight through.
Exactly. Like, if you want to go to Telluride, that's fine, but the vibe is just totally different. Uray really wraps its arms around the race. I was talking with people as I was moving through town that were really enjoying themselves, enjoying our coverage, and there because Hardrock was happening. When you're in Telluride, there's so much to do there beyond Hardrock. Not that there isn't in Uray, but it's just a different vibe. Like, Hardrock takes over Silverton. Hardrock takes over Uray. Hardrock happens in Telluride. At least that's how I interpret it. And plus, this is about the halfway point of the race. In 2021, I was actually there when Courtney dropped, and I had no clue. She looked so good coming in. That's why I was a little bit concerned when it sounded like we weren't quite sure what her game was at this point this time. Yep. Maybe it was, as you just mentioned, the idea that this was kind of excising a ghost from a race that didn't go well. But yeah, Uray Aid is great. It's got plenty of room. As you can see, tons of picnic tables in the background. A lot of recognizable faces and names hanging out. If you're a running nerd, it's the perfect place to go and spend several hours. I've been there as long as 12, 15 hours. When 2021's race happened, I was there when Francois and Dylan came through, and I actually stayed all the way through Jamil Curry coming through. And that wasn't one of Jamil's better races, so I was there a fair amount of time.
So I'm just taking a look at the tracker again, and Courtney is starting to rage.
Yeah,
Annalise's tracker updated enough for us to see that Courtney had passed Annalise. Brian Colmo's tracker is updated enough to see that she has also overtaken Brian on the climb. The next on the list is Arlen Glick. Arlen looked great, but Courtney has bridged a massive gap in the first few miles of this climb. Keep in mind, Courtney's about 4 of 10 miles into this climb. And at the rate Courtney's going, I mean, we got Arlen in front of her, Javi Dominguez is in front of her, Dylan Bowman is in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
She's moving faster than I thought she was going to be moving. This is going to be very interesting.
What kind of surprises are you seeing when you take a look at that leaderboard, in your opinion?
The biggest surprise was, one, how great Annalise looked coming out of Uray.
Yeah.
Annalise isn't moving slow.
No, not at all.
Annalise is moving great.
Just move me out of the way if I'm in your way. No, seriously,
Courtney
just push me out of the way.
Coming out of Uray. Courtney was sitting there, and it looked like, for a moment she was kind of having to regroup a little bit. Skylar said that she'd eaten some mashed potatoes, and they kind of quickly came back up briefly. It was like, okay, I mean, you get a pass for spewing some mashed potatoes. That's fine. But, not perfect.
Yeah.
And that's normal. But I think people, it comes to a surprise if Courtney ever falters at all. And
yeah.
Maybe this next climb is going to be a bit of a struggle. Clearly Courtney's working hard, but it's for all the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big difference maker in my mind.
I think in what I've seen so far, my biggest surprise is Arlen. I honestly didn't know what to expect. And as much as I admire Arlen and know he's a strong runner, I mean, I picked him to win Western States, but to see what he's doing here and maintaining in the top 10, it's been pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. It's kind of like when Happy Gilmore learned how to putt.
Arlen learned how to hike.
Arlen learned how to run mountains. People should be worried a little bit about that. He already has the speed game, that super steady endurance. We're now seeing Arlen. Yeah, I mean, I saw some of his runs he did on Strava. He was like motoring some of these downhills. I'm like, dude, Arlen's learning how to run down mountains.
Well, one of the things also recently, I can't remember where it was. It might have been with you discussing it around Western States, where he kind of downplayed his speed, which I had to chuckle about. But one of the things he did say while he was discussing his race strategy was that he tries to be more efficient in and out of aid stations, which is a tenet of Karl Meltzer. And so could we see Arlen coming into the mountain space potentially having a Karl Meltzer type stretch where once he learns what he's doing, he's got the speed, he's got the efficiency, and he's showing today he's got the strength.
Yeah, and just for reference for how new to mountain running, especially like ultra endurance mountain running Arlen is, last year Western States was his first like mountain race, and that's really only the first 50K before it gets hilly.
Yeah.
Then he did Run Rabbit, which was the first race that even made him Hardrock eligible. But, you know, Run Rabbit's tough. Hardrock is kind of a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
And that's what Arlen is going to learn. And then, you know, he went from Run Rabbit back to Javelina, and he crushed Umstead earlier this year. Like, kind of went back to the flatter ones. We're like, okay, I'm really excited to see if Arlen can put together a solid last 40 here at Hardrock.
We could be seeing the development of a very dangerous all-around game if this is the case with Arlen. If he finishes top 5 here amongst a fairly stout field in his Hardrock debut, I think we have to say that he can handle just about anything, because the whole flat, fast, lowland race, obviously he's mastered that. And if he's showing he can compete in this, yeah, I think that Arlen Glick is going to be, his star is rising even higher.
Yep. Arlen's stock appears to be on the rise again, everybody. We're watching Mark Hammond into the Uray aid station.
Another flatter, faster, as far as reputation goes, who's having an impressive showing.
This is his first Hardrock as well. I think he's done
that looked like me
more
yesterday.
mountain races than Arlen has. I mean, I know he's spent more time, at Western States. But he's also done some pretty fast flatter races. I mean, he was third at Jackpot last year.
I was filming and hosting Jackpot last year, and Mark steadily worked his way up. It seemed like something was wrong with him, but then when all was said and done, he ended up finishing third. He had a fairly disappointing Javelin 100 last year. I think that was because he actually missed the wave. At least this is what I heard. He missed his starting wave. So he had to start with wave 2 and pass, 700 runners along the way.
That would add a different element.
Yeah, that's what happens when people like you wake up late. You start with people like us and have to deal with us on the single track.
So it looks like Mark is changing from the Mont Blanc Boa, Mont Blanc, to the Mont Blanc Boa. We're going from laces to...
He said take your time.
Clicky buckles.
I was just about to say it might be a little cruel to have a sign that says Smile Zone at the Uray aid station, but Kevin Hammond is smiling and seems to be in good spirits. Thank you.
They actually have a few fun signs there. I wish I had taken pictures. One of the signs said, "We don't do this because it's easy. We do it because we thought this was easy." And then there was another sign that said something like, "The pain comes before the pain."
What do you think?
Those Uray people have a heck of a sense of humor.
Pretty cool, right? I agree. There we go.
Sources are saying that we're just a few minutes out from getting set up with video at Telluride.
Nice.
So everyone can look forward to that.
So yeah, we're trying to navigate the tracker here, and are we still under the impression, or have we confirmed our belief that Courtney has indeed taken the lead?
Yes.
Okay.
They've both pinged multiple times, and Courtney stayed in front.
And
each of those times
has also passed Brian as well, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Pinky said.
But Arlen is moving well on the climb too, so Courtney's gonna have to work to get another person, because Arlen looked great and Javi looked great. Dylan didn't look great, but he was still a pretty large amount in front of Courtney. You know, we're looking upwards of 2 miles still.
Yeah. Which is not an insurmountable amount in this race.
Yeah, over the course of the whole race, definitely not a ton of time. Over the course
Yeah.
of this one climb, that's a decent amount of distance. You know, it's like 20% of the climb.
A lot of the speculation centered around whether the idea that Dylan Bowman was actually ready for this race. Maybe I took it a little bit for granted that he was, but I also think some people seem to perhaps underestimate him as well. So I think that he's probably right about where we thought he'd be, but I also was admittedly not nearly as familiar with Ariane and Benoit. So
yeah, I wasn't familiar enough with Arlen. Last night I was talking to Jeff Colt, and he was the one who really drilled it into my head. He was like, Arlen is the one who will be leading the race early, middle, and late tomorrow. That was what Jeff told me.
Well, it's like a great philosopher once said, I owe you an apology. I really wasn't familiar with your game.
I mean, I didn't say he wasn't. I just said other people might be in front of him. So, yeah, I was definitely wrong on that. But, you know.
Yeah, that's a unique pack that Mark's wearing. Are you familiar with that one?
What the heck is that? No, the other one he was wearing was Silva, which is primarily a headlamp brand. I've actually seen. The name's escaping me right now. I'd seen the pack one other place, but I've never seen this one. I mean, yeah, Mark's traveling overseas for sure to get his running apparel.
See, this is why I love working with you, Brett, because you know the gear better than anybody I've ever worked with.
And yet, I don't know it all. That's the greatest part. That's why I love this industry. There's still more for me to learn.
And I'll be honest, when I ask about what we're seeing
We'll
from
let Tony
Mark,
get in the shot.
and I can't figure it out and I don't know, then I know it's some tech.
Yeah, Mark's been he's been doing his homework.
Yeah, Uray is finally cooling down, I think. When I was there earlier, it was in the low to mid 80s.
All right.
I was hanging out, obviously doing a ton of research as I was sitting in the water park with my feet in one of the hot springs. But it was 84, 85 degrees with the sun beating down. Those runners coming in had to be cooking. Now it's around 75, I believe, and it's got to be much more palatable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think getting in the shade,
wait, how many people are
sun going over the hill, that's huge. I'm hearing in the chat, everyone's saying Grivel, which is an Italian company. They make a lot of climbing gear, as well as some running. Sounds somewhat parallel to La Sportiva.
Dylan.
Okay.
Bronco Billy.
Yeah,
Not.
Mark is channeling his inner Euro here. I mean, he's got his Grivel pack, his poles, his tiny cycling cap.
Yep, Arlen.
I think he's ready to go smash some mountains.
Well, he's got one in front of him that's going to take him for the next 6-7 miles.
Yeah, Avery was second. Yeah. But yeah, plenty of chance for you to hunt some people down.
Interesting.
Yeah, you look good.
Mark's a pretty quiet guy. You know, he doesn't show his cards. Sometimes he keeps them pretty close to his chest. That exchange right there, though, was
Left hand.
he was a runner. Cam was letting Mark know who was in front of him, and said, "Yeah, man, there's some guys right up there, for you to catch." And he just looked over and grinned.
Oh man, it's great being all cool, right?
Well, as I mentioned, at Jackpot, obviously an entirely different environment where you're maybe getting 20 feet of climb per mile at most. Mark did run down several competitors. He was running around 4th, 5th, 6th at Jackpot, and he ended up finishing, I believe, 3rd, and was just steady the entire day. So if there's somebody who knows how to be economical in the first half and turn the jets on in the second half, it's Mark Hammond. And even though he doesn't have the Hardrock resume, I have no doubt that
third. He was third.
Yep. Absolutely.
I doubt he holds on to that, though.
That's how he's raced Western States.
He was
as well.
really rough.
Yeah,
He took a digger,
punching from behind.
hit his head. He was not in a happy place.
So
Hoping
Dylan
he
is less than a mile
can reset. He's got Topher with him.
out of Governor. As we watch Mark leave this aid station,
Sure,
we're going
once
to
he
cut
gets
to
cool,
a
he'll
quick
get back in
ad
the groove.
break, as after that we expect to see Chris Price and
All right, have an
Hughes
awesome
make
night,
their
man.
way into Uray. So
Enjoy
we will
yourself
be
out
right
there.
back. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be rooting for you. See you in Telluride.
Soda! All the energy of soda. None of the fizz.
All right, we're back. Hope everyone enjoyed a wonderful Flota commercial.
I do every time.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I mean, I've got the audio on my iPod.
It's a hit.
So it looks like Annie's still about 1.25 miles out from the Uray aid station. So we're going to take this moment to switch over to stream 4, so that way we get 8 more hours or whatever of uninterrupted coverage. So Bryce is going to switch that. Don't go anywhere. Nothing for you to do. You'll just click on the new stream link. It'll pop up. We'll be back in just a sec. I'm signing off. It's been 9.5 hours. Andy Jones-Wilkins is going to take over for me. Him and Chris are going to get on with some Hardrock after dark, discuss whatever it is that they talk about when the sun goes down. I don't know, because I usually go to bed.
Actually, round of applause, Brett. You pulled a long shift today, so, hats off. I am literally applauding you here in the studio. I actually tell Matt and Bryce that I won't go any longer than 6 hours under the best of circumstances, and under the worst, maybe 8.
I stayed in the
went
single
longer.
digits. I think I'm
barely.
I'm at like 9.5 right now. So.
And you're slowly growing into your shirt.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've been waiting for. It's been fun. I will see everyone tomorrow. Be back on tomorrow afternoon. We're
We'll
going to
see you
switch that
soon.
stream. Have fun, guys.